Our boy, Gammon Yun. Despite being stuck in a bottom-tier school like Yusung Technical High, he's still chasing his dream of college. Looking at his failed test, he might feel defeated, but that stubborn drive to succeed is still burning inside. Just when he needed a push, his new homeroom teacher, Ms. Lee, stepped into his world. A kind and dedicated mentor, she becomes his guiding light. Gammon sees an opportunity to form a study group, and with her, a flicker of hope appears. Under her tutelage, Gammon's hidden potential begins to surface. He learns faster than he ever expected. Amidst the shadows of school violence, this small desk becomes his only safe haven. But this is Yusung Technical High, after all. 2 years of pent-up tension mean the air is always thick with aggression. Just as Gammon tries to focus on his studies, the local thugs can't help themselves, and chaos erupts right behind him. Watching the chaos, Gammon looks completely out of place. He just wants to go to college and find a way out of this hellhole. But he quickly realizes that some things are impossible to avoid, no matter how hard you try. Just as Gammon is lamenting his luck, things take a turn for the worse. The school bullies, completely out of control, decide to target Ms. Lee. The guy who usually keeps his head down? His eyes just went cold. With a dull thud, Ms. Lee cries out in pain. In that split second, something within Gammon snaps. In a place where fists make the rules, our boy is finally done holding back. The school atmosphere is suffocating. It's only April, yet fights are already breaking out left and right. For the students, this kind of violence has become routine, just another form of entertainment. In the midst of the chaos, the new homeroom teacher, Ms. Lee, tried to intervene. But how could these delinquents, who treat violence as a daily ritual, ever respect a teacher like her? Ms. Lee silently endured it all, even getting hurt, while trying to clean up the mess. Our boy watched it all from the shadows, getting his first real look at the cruelty of this school. Ms. Lee showed surprising resilience in the face of such hostility, but her persistence felt incredibly fragile in such a toxic environment. Gammon watched from the sidelines, his emotions churning. The thugs didn't back down, they only got worse. Watching them smoke and provoke without a care in the world, Gammon realized this wasn't a place where reason could win. Surprisingly, the kind-hearted Ms. Lee actually tried to lecture them about quitting smoking. She was worried about their health, but to these thugs, her concern was nothing more than a hilarious joke. Finally, things spiraled out of control. Not only did they ignore her advice, they surrounded and humiliated her. Watching the teacher forced to her knees, the gaze behind our boy's glasses turned icy. Faced with bullies trying to extort money, our boy Gammon didn't back down. Despite their numbers and aggression, his hidden fighting instincts were fully ignited. Just as the bullies thought they had the upper hand, Gammon charged. No longer the pushover, his lightning-fast counterpunch hit hard, sending his opponent reeling back in shock. Seeing Gammon's explosive power, the onlookers were stunned. They clearly hadn't realized that this quiet student was actually a formidable fighter. With the trouble settled, Gammon returned to his quiet self, as if the fight never happened. He reached out to his terrified classmate, acting not just as a protector, but as a beacon of hope. Looking at his classmate, Gammon made a firm promise to help her study. Against the backdrop of this cruel school life, a new chapter of protection and growth had just begun. The next day, Gammon was back at the training grounds on time. After all, if he wants to carve a path to his dream in this chaotic school, physical strength and elite technique are his only leverage. Our boy Gammon's skills are no joke. He nails a perfect rotation on the bars, even drawing praise from a passerby. But Gammon doesn't stop to bask in it. He's already checking the clock, laser focused on his next move. Gammon's in such a rush, he causes a bit of chaos along the way. He barely manages to get his lock sorted before his teacher's urgent wake-up call hits. It's not just a normal school day, it's the start of his uphill battle. Meanwhile, the school vibe is tense. Ms. Lee is deeply worried about her students, but despite the fear, she's determined to stand by them. Walking through those school gates is her first real step toward making a change. Back in class, Gammon scans the room for fellow students who actually want to go to college. He spots Ian and knows he's got real potential. But before he can settle in, the usual school troublemakers are already trying to start something. These punks just don't know when to quit. Gammon's patience is wearing thin. All he wants is to study, but trouble follows him. Meanwhile, Ms. Lee is getting an earful from her superiors, proving that neither the teacher nor the student is getting an easy break today. With a school inspection looming, the teacher strictly orders everyone to behave. Meanwhile, in the hallway, thugs are busy bullying students, forcing them to their knees in a display of pure arrogance. Just then, the teacher stumbles upon the scene. Outraged by their blatant misconduct, she takes matters into her own hands, striking the ringleader to put an end to their bullying. It was a satisfying blow, but the thug is far from finished, firing back with threats. Just as the teacher wavers in shock at their audacity, a firm hand intervenes. Our boy Gammon has stepped in. Gammon stands calmly in front of the teacher. He's not just here for justice, he's protecting Cian, his study partner. Gammon knows Cian is one of the few who can actually make it to college, and he won't let these thugs ruin that future. Gammon has been working hard to get this study group off the ground, a quiet dream he's held for years. But reality bites. When he finally works up the courage to invite his classmates, he's met with a cold rejection. The honor students look down on Gammon, mocking him for trying to join their ranks. Despite the cold shoulder and the ridicule, Gammon stays composed, quietly observing it all while staying focused on protecting the isolated Cian. Things weren't going well for our boy Gammon. After being rejected from study groups yet again, he was feeling the weight of his academic struggles. But during a talk with his teacher, he showed a renewed sense of resolve, signaling he was determined to turn things around. His teacher, Ms. Lee, sensed his internal tension and urged him not to resort to violence. She reminded him that, regardless of the school's reputation, it was still a place for learning. Our boy agreed with a cryptic smirk, hinting that he had his own way of interpreting not using his fists. Sure enough, when the bullies confronted him, Gammon remembered his promise, so he opted for a fire extinguisher instead of his fists. It was an unconventional move that left the thugs completely blindsided, choking in the cloud of foam and chaos. With the fight over, Gammon remained unnervingly calm. Ms. Lee was stunned by the absurdity of the scene. She had asked for peace, but she certainly hadn't expected an improvised fire extinguisher battle to be his solution. Meanwhile, Gammon's terrified acquaintance was spiraling, trying to warn him that their attackers were the notorious scions of the White Lead gang. But our boy just laughed off the danger, leaving the poor guy completely speechless at his audacity. Facing the bullies, our mysterious masked guy remains perfectly calm. Despite their relentless taunts, our boy is ready to show them exactly why they shouldn't have messed with him. The battle ignites, and the sudden counterattack throws the bullies into chaos. Just when they thought threats would work, our boy lands a clean hit, completely flipping the script. Seeing the bullies stunned, our boy presses the attack with a heavy blow. The enemy doesn't even have a chance to beg. The seamless combat leaves everyone watching absolutely speechless. Under the shocked gazes of the crowd, our boy displays overwhelming fighting skills. That's when everyone realizes that this usually quiet student is insanely strong in a fight. Before the dust settles, our boy drops a bombshell that leaves everyone stunned. Amidst all this school violence, he actually wants to start a study group and invites them to college prep. The scene is painfully awkward. After such a violent brawl, now he wants to hit the books? The bullies' brains are clearly fried, but our boy is dead serious, as if discussing chores. The conflict escalates again, as the opponent clearly rejects this kind of offer. But for our boy, this little scuffle is nothing, just another hurdle on the path to his dream. Our boy is completely in control. The masked opponent realizes too late. He's not just dodging blows, he's reading the entire fight ahead of time. Then comes the Scarface guy, mocking the study group idea. To him, only fists matter here. But he's about to learn that his conviction is about to be shattered. As the thugs try to intimidate him by smashing school gear, the Scarface guy swings again. This time, our boy catches his fist cold, leaving the bully completely stunned. The tables turn instantly. Our boy retaliates with a clean hit, sending the arrogant thug crashing. The guy is left dazed, unable to process how he lost the upper hand so easily. With the trouble cleared, our boy turns to comfort his partner, Cian. He assures him that he's got things under control now. It's time to get back to their real goal, hitting the books. Despite the constant ridicule, our boy's resolve is unwavering. He truly wants to study. It's more than just a dream. It's the path he's chosen to survive in this mess. The school bell cuts the tension short. While the defeated thug struggles to accept his loss, a new player enters the scene, Manhwa, the notorious boss's son. Unexpectedly, the defeated thug makes a desperate, crazed move against Manhwa. But Manhwa shuts him down with a single, brutal blow. That's the end of that sideshow. The antagonist is watching from the shadows, clearly not finished yet. He eyes his defeated underling with a twisted curiosity, already setting his sights on our boy, eager to teach him the bitter reality of their world. Meanwhile, the mechanical lab has become a total disaster zone. The dean is losing his mind over the trash pile right before the inspectors arrive. The students are terrified, knowing full well the dean is looking for any excuse to lash out. Just as the dean is about to turn his rage onto our boy, Gun Yeep steps up. Knowing the gamin would be the prime target for punishment, he decides to take the fall himself, stepping in to absorb the dean's fury. You have to give it to Gun Yeep, he's smooth. He manages to talk the dean down and send him on his way, buying just enough time to clean up the mess before the inspectors arrive. Sometimes, damage control is the smartest move. Crisis averted, the study session resumes. However, watching our boy struggle to grasp the Pythagorean theorem is testing his tutor's patience. It's ironic he's a prodigy in a fight, but put a textbook in front of him, and he's completely lost. Our boy is patiently guiding his classmate through their studies. To clarify complex concepts, he shows off his exclusive perfect study guide, a labor of love, and a literal treasure trove of organized knowledge. But the peace doesn't last. With a violent crash, the classroom erupts into chaos as our boy is blindsided. To add insult to injury, the bully decides to humiliate him further by tossing his precious, hard-earned notebook into the fire. Just then, education inspectors arrive on the scene. They immediately sense something is off from the neglected state of the school to the strange, acrid smell in the air. Their probing questions catch the school staff off guard, and the tension begins to boil over. The fire can no longer be hidden as smoke begins to billow. Faced with the inspector's direct questions, the culprits try to play dumb and cover up the disaster, but as the situation spirals out of control, it's clear the gig is finally up. With the fire undeniable, the culprit's lies fall flat. This isn't just an exposed prank, it's the moment the school's long-hidden rot finally comes to light. Now, all that's left is to see how the inspectors handle this disaster. A sudden uproar shatters the peace in the classroom. The intruders aren't backing down, in fact, they're looking to make an example out of our guy. Before he can even react, they turn their sights on others, and chaos erupts. These guys are clearly looking for trouble. They start kicking everyone out, recklessly tossing burning books at our boy. It's pure madness. He's furious, but watching his friends suffer hurts way more than any injury. Our boy isn't easily shaken by such dirty tactics. Despite being surrounded by fire and caught in the thick of it, the look in his eyes is only getting sharper. He's done playing the victim. The enemies are doubling down, ready to keep tormenting his friend. Our boy finally reaches his breaking point. Covered in blood but fueled by resolve, he decides that no matter what it takes, these jerks are going to pay. The fight explodes into total chaos. Confronted by this relentless violence, our boy doesn't back down. He tanks the hits and strikes back. But this is just the beginning. The real threat is only just starting to show its face. The classroom is in shambles, but our boy's fight is far from over. Faced with this total escalation, he clenches his fists. This time, he's truly had enough. Facing these ruthless bullies, our boy is battered but refuses to back down. They're even burning study materials and trying to bash him with chairs. It's clear they don't plan on letting him walk away from this. Our boy isn't about to play along with their clumsy attacks. He spots the opening, lands a clean punch, and when they try to crush him with a chair, he shatters it with pure force. Gammon has fully locked into the zone now. With a series of lightning-fast kicks, he turns the tide, sending those arrogant thugs crashing to the floor one by one. With one final, decisive blow, the thugs are down for the count. Our boy is exhausted, but the look on his face leaves his friends stunned. He's managed to pull off the impossible. Things are much better in the staff office. The vice principal is losing his mind over the fire and the brawl, taking all his misplaced frustration out on Ms. Lee. Despite the physical intimidation, Ms. Lee stands her ground. But the VP doesn't realize that Gammon, the problem student who just finished his fight, is about to face a whole new storm. With the surprise inspection, the faculty is scrambling. Because of our boy's recent high-profile clash, the administration is desperate to find a scapegoat and sweep the whole mess under the rug. Just as our boy is feeling uneasy, his partner Cian shows up. He's usually quiet, but this time, he doesn't hesitate to stand by him, knowing full well he might get dragged into the trouble too. Seeing Cian's loyalty, our boy feels a surge of warmth. Looking back on their journey from initial misunderstandings to now fighting side by side to study and get stronger, he realizes how valuable this bond has become. However, trouble arrives faster than expected. The devious dean finally drops his mask, cornering our boy in front of the inspector and trying to use his authority to crush him. As tensions boil over, the girl who had been quiet can't take it anymore. She tears the veil off the school's bullying issue, exposing the dean's ties to the gangs. That bombshell leaves everyone completely stunned. To protect our boy, Ms. Lee is ready to burn every bridge with the school administration. Even with her career on the line, she refuses to back down against the cold-blooded suits, fighting to clear Gammon's name no matter the cost. Meanwhile, the school violence rages on. While the adults play politics, a ruthless powerhouse named Sanjin Bang crashes the scene, crushing the punks with overwhelming force. To him, these thugs are nothing but ants to be stepped on. Back in the office, the tension remains palpable. To the greedy administration, Ms. Lee's moral stance is just a joke. They ignore the fact that Gammon is a victim, choosing to threaten her contract just to sweep the bullying scandal under the rug. Despite the crushing pressure, Ms. Lee stands her ground. Driven by the need to protect her student, she refuses to cave. Even if it means losing her job, she's ready to challenge the system rather than watch Gammon fall victim to this toxic environment. Who would have guessed? This mild-mannered teacher was once a top scorer. Seeing everyone's stunned reaction, it's clear the secrets hidden within this school run much deeper than we thought. Facing the scrutiny, Teacher Lee firmly stood by her dream of helping students. However, the school administration clearly isn't buying it, and the tension in the hallway is rising fast. As the standoff reached a peak, our boy decided to take action. If the environment is this bad, he'll just start his own study group, even if it means challenging the school's status quo. Meanwhile, a shadow has been creeping up from the dark. With a harsh crash, someone in that cold car has finally revealed their true, sinister intentions. Staring at the blood on his hands, Park Gunyub remains terrifyingly calm. This isn't just about cleaning house. It's a bloody warning to this corrupt school. Violence and education coexist. That's the reality they face. No matter how chaotic it gets, the recruitment poster for the study group is already posted on the wall. Our boy Gammon and Ms. Lee are busy prepping posters for their new study group. Ms. Lee is all in, but Gammon can't help but feel like this recruitment strategy is just asking for trouble. The moment the poster goes up, the hallway turns into a rumor mill. To the other students, this study group is nothing but a joke or worse, a convenient cover for Gammon to find new people to pick on. Just then, a cold figure walks by and rips the poster to shreds without a second thought. For him, seeing people try to build a future is just an eyesore he wants to tear apart. Flash forward to Saturday. Ms. Lee is visiting Gammon's place, her first time ever. She arrives just in time to see our boy crushing some insane handstand push-ups, leaving her absolutely speechless. After an awkward apology for the delay, they hit it off pretty well. Ms. Lee takes charge, dragging Gammon straight to the bookstore to load up on study materials. Inside the store, Ms. Lee goes full-on study mode, piling up books like she's buying the whole inventory. Gammon's stunned. Turns out, she didn't just stumble into teaching, she aced the hardest exams to get there. It doesn't end there. MS. Lee isn't playing around. With books flying everywhere and her firm stance on studying, Gammon realizes his peaceful days of slacking off are officially over. They had spent the whole day at the bookstore, and before they knew it, night had fallen. Our boy Gammon might have been acting tough, but he was probably starving. Just as they were about to head out for a meal, their peaceful routine hit an unexpected snag. Walking home, Gammon was still grumbling about his teacher's spicy food choices, only to find some uninvited guests waiting at his doorstep. Clearly, trouble wasn't done with him yet. Meanwhile, the gangster Sekijin Humble Pie was playing it cool. To him, his underlings were just expendable pawns. But Gammon? Gammon was the anomaly he wanted to break. To shake up our boy's life, he decided to target Ms. Lee. This sense of control clearly thrilled Pie. He smirked as he plotted to destroy Gammon's spirit by manipulating his surroundings, starting with cornering Ms. Lee. But Ms. Lee wasn't about to give in easily. She fought back with everything she had, trying to break free. But these thugs were prepared. They'd blocked the exit, and were even going after her phone to cut her off. Gammon's world was suddenly on the brink of a crisis. As the teacher faces the cruel threats, the atmosphere is heavy with despair. But then, a sudden crash breaks the silence. Our boy, Humble Pie, bursts through the door. The thugs realize it's Humble Pie and immediately tense up. Without a word of banter, our boy strikes with lightning speed, sending the guy blocking his path flying. Despite his ferocious assault, our boy isn't invulnerable. The thugs use their numbers and dirty tactics, like brass knuckles, to fight back. Soon, Hamel finds himself in a rough spot, taking heavy hits. Bleeding but unyielding, Hamel keeps his cool despite the brutal beating. He uses the chaos to grab Teacher Lee and makes a swift escape, denying the thugs any chance to corner them. With their targets gone, the thugs are left fuming. They call their superiors to report the failed job while fruitlessly scouring the city, setting the stage for a much larger conflict. Facing an isolated teacher Lee, the thugs didn't hide their malice, openly plotting their violent plans for the night, completely unaware of the reckoning about to come their way. Just when the thugs thought they had it in the bag, the atmosphere shifted. When the dangerous figure, Gunyap Park, appeared, the thugs' faces froze instantly, the air turning heavy with dread. Then, the conflict erupted without warning. This wasn't just a squabble, but a full-blown street brawl, and the attackers were brutally overpowered before they could even react. As weapons were pulled into the fray, the violence escalated instantly. Each strike was merciless and potentially lethal, enough to send shivers down anyone watching the carnage. Teacher Lee watched the chaos unfold like a scene from a gang movie, her eyes filled with shock and helplessness. She couldn't fathom how these students, who should be studying, had devolved into such brutality. Just as the conflict threatened to spiral out of control, a familiar figure stepped in. Without a word, our boy ended the aggression with a single, decisive strike, pinning the troublemaker to the ground. Everyone was stunned by this sudden savior. But when our boy calmly mentioned he was just here to pick up a book, the sheer, suffocating pressure caused the thugs to completely lose their nerve. Facing a gang trying to swarm him, our boy doesn't flinch. Despite his studious nerd persona, his combat instincts are on a whole different level. Whether it's a makeshift wooden club or a chain he's whipped up, he turns every improvised weapon into a tactical masterclass. While the thugs try to brute force their way through, our boy locks down their momentum with his custom chain club. Seeing them scramble and disarmed, you realize these combat skills weren't learned for sport, their survival instincts he honed just so he could get back to his study group in peace. The gang leader tries one last desperate sneak attack, but he's walking straight into a trap. Our boy counterattacks with lethal precision, shattering the guy's weapon mid-swing. With the thugs reeling, our guy remains unnervingly calm as if he's just solving another problem in his textbook. The fodder might be down, but the roar of approaching motorcycles signals that the real trouble is just heating up. The thugs clearly underestimated the study group's bite. After all, when it comes to protecting his chance at a future, our boy is ready for anything. Come Saturday, while everyone else is kicking back, our boy's schedule is packed with review, practice exams, and nunchuck training. It's the secret behind balancing his academic ambitions with street brawls. Even in the heat of a fight, he's still thinking about his next study session. As the next wave of enemies rushes in, our boy goes full throttle. He turns that chain club into a whirlwind of pain, dropping his opponents before they even know what hit them. The fight ends just as quickly as it started, leaving the thugs groaning and our guy standing tall. Seriously, at this point, are they going to join his study group or what? The fight explodes in an instant. Our boy swings his chain whip with precision, shattering the opponent's wooden staff and sending the gray-hooded guy reeling back from the sheer force of the impact. Before the goons can even catch their breath, our boy moves like a blur. His chain whip, expertly controlled, lashes out from behind and strikes the bespectacled guy, leaving a nasty mark and catching him completely off guard. Our boy doesn't back down for a second. With a seasoned, brutal strike, he shuts down the remaining threats. The scene is left in total chaos, with the thugs who were so confident moments ago now lying scattered on the ground. With the small fry dealt with, our boy looks at his battered weapon. He frowns slightly. It seems this makeshift gear is just too fragile to handle any serious, high-intensity combat. Just then, the girl in the yellow cardigan rushes over, clearly worried. Our boy brushes off her concern, claiming he's fine. But his nonchalant attitude only makes the sudden appearance of the mysterious gray-hooded figure feel all the more ominous. The mysterious guy is clearly bad news. He coldly pins the orange-shirt guy down, shards of glass in hand. He's been watching this for a while, and seems to know everything about that old case, using it to apply some serious pressure. The atmosphere hits sub-zero. The mysterious guy pulls out a crowbar, hovering the cold metal tip right over the guy's head. The threat is undeniable. His eyes are filled with a ruthless intent, as if he's judging his target's actions and forcing a confession. As the violence escalates, the situation spirals out of control. Just in the nick of time, a new variable enters the fray. Whether to prevent a tragedy or settle a score, this new force is clearly not letting things end here. Our boy has clearly reached his limit. Seeing his friends being bullied and pushed around, he's not backing down. Even with the responsibility of protecting his teacher, he's dead set on teaching these trashy bullies a lesson they won't forget. As the confrontation escalates, a cruel truth emerges. This all ties back to a murder from years ago. Faced with the pain of his mother's death, our boy's long-suppressed rage finally boils over. Rage didn't cloud our boy's judgment, it just made him more decisive. He dominates his opponent with sheer skill, raining down blows. That arrogant, bullying attitude? It's completely shattered in the face of this overwhelming power. As the chaos starts to settle, our boy stands tall. He's not blinded by fury. He remains cold and focused, demanding answers from the beaten-down bully. This isn't just mindless violence, it's a pursuit of justice. With the fight over, the aftermath begins. Our boy and his allies regroup in the cold night, taking a long look at the pump they just broke. Meanwhile, their teacher offers a sobering warning. The real danger here might be deeper than he ever imagined. Our boy watches the distance, perfectly aware of the situation. He knows that in this cutthroat environment, those who act out and overreach eventually face the harsh reality of society. The conflict may have paused, but the underlying tension remains. Late at night, the hidden conflicts continue. Gammon doesn't waste time on empty words. In such a turbulent week, he knows better than anyone that to survive this quagmire, he must stay calm. After the day's chaos, he gathers his thoughts and gets back to his studies. However, peace is short-lived. Just days into the semester, the study group faces a new test. The students are panicked, discussing 5 major incidents in just 2 weeks. The pressure is suffocating. Faced with the teacher's new assignment, they're not just confused, they don't even know where to start. After the chaos, they finally locked onto a target, Jae-woo from the chemical engineering department. Facing such a tricky recruit, our boy remains surprisingly calm. After all, if he wants to study in peace at this school, he has to keep all these wild cards in check. The rules at Yuseong Technical High are ridiculous. The separation between male and female students is strict, like 2 different worlds. This is a nightmare for Gammon's sidekicks. Just thinking about infiltrating the female students' territory to recruit someone makes them break into a cold sweat. To them, this mission is nothing short of hell. To make matters worse, they finally learn the truth about Jae-woo. She's the twin sister of that troublesome guy. With a notorious reputation for being arrogant and tough, and seeing an immediate conflict unfolding, it's clear that getting this big shot into the study group will be a serious battle. Tensions are running high in the classroom. The group is ganging up on the defenseless girl, tearing up her exam plans, and spewing insults. It's a typical bullying scene, but no one expects the storm that's about to break loose. Just then, our boy steps in, grabbing the aggressor's hand. The sheer authority in his move catches everyone off guard. Gammon isn't playing games. He's had enough of their nonsense, and is making it clear that the bullying ends right here. A stunned silence hangs in the air, quickly broken by pure shock. Gammon's presence is far more intense than these bullies bargained for. Yet, even cornered, they refuse to back down, still trying to spit out insults to save face. That's when our boy's combat instincts kick in. He's unfazed by the noise, handling the situation with surprising ease. The villains still think he's just a pushover freshman, oblivious to the fact that they've messed with the wrong guy. As things escalate, Gammon's raw intensity takes over. He couldn't care less about their supposed gangster backing, and hits them with a reality check instead. Look at the shock on the villain's face. Clearly, he wasn't ready for this level of pushback. The fight doesn't stop for please. Gammon is just getting started. His counter moves are fluid and precise, putting the ringleader right in his place. It's incredibly satisfying to see these bullies finally get exactly what they deserve. When the opponent tries to keep talking trash, Gammon just grabs him by the hair, his eyes filled with cold, unwavering intensity. His gaze says it all. You were so tough a moment ago, now let's see how you handle real fear. The classroom is never truly peaceful, is it? Watching the usual troublemakers pick on someone, our boy keeps a watchful eye, clearly unimpressed by the constant, pointless bullying. Seeing the tension rising, Jae-woo just walks away, choosing not to engage. She ignores the noise, but her deliberate silence makes it clear that there's a lot more going on under the surface. Trying to lead a quiet life in this school is easier said than done. Our boy is just trying to grab a quick drink and catch his breath, not realizing that trouble is about to find him. Suddenly, a girl rushes up to them, looking absolutely terrified. She's not here to start a fight. She's here to beg for help, and the name she's desperate to save is Jae-woo's. As she speaks, the past starts to unfold. Jae-woo wasn't always a target. She used to be the one protecting others with her judo skills. But everything crumbled the moment her brother got tangled up in a debt trap. It was a calculated nightmare. The bullies leveraged a video of her brother, Hyunwoo, to isolate and destroy Jae-woo. The strong girl who used to protect others became the victim of a cruel, systematic harassment. The reality hits harder than expected. Not only is the informant transferring schools, but Jaiwa herself is now lying in a hospital bed, paying the price. This situation is way worse than our boy imagined. Seeing the girl break down, begging for her friend's life, you can feel the desperation caused by this blackmail. Our guy listens, and his expression turns serious. He knows he has to step in. Facing this dilemma, our guy stays cool and starts planning. Since the USB is the source of the blackmail, the goal is clear. They need to retrieve it, no matter who they're up against. Meanwhile, the homeroom teacher is playing his own game. He picks up on someone fishing for info, and handles it with ease, all while connecting the dots behind this chaotic situation. Elsewhere, the punk holding the blackmail material is gloating, completely unaware that his arrogance is about to bring a world of trouble right to his doorstep. Back with our guy, the plan is being set, but the team is shocked by the target. The student council is essentially a gang hideout, but our guy isn't backing down from the challenge. Hearing how the villains are ruining someone's life with such pathetic tactics, the team is rightfully furious. That kind of cruelty is exactly why they're ready to fight back. Still gloating and plotting, the punk has no idea what's coming for him. As he revels in his petty power, the calm before the storm is about to be shattered. The enemies are holding a critical USB as leverage, not just hurling insults, but turning to physical violence. One harsh slam, and the situation immediately reaches a breaking point. The villain shows no mercy, stepping on their victim while gloating. Even worse, they set their sights on the video in the USB, planning to upload the damaging footage straight to the internet. This move is clearly meant to destroy the victim's family. At this critical moment, our boy's allies cook up a distraction, hoping to create an opening for a counterattack. It's a dangerous gamble, but it might be their only shot. Meanwhile, a sharp verbal clash erupts between the teacher and the villain. The villain arrogantly mocks her ideals, painting their cruel bullying as cold reality, brimming with contempt for the vulnerable. However, just as the villain is busy preaching his twisted logic, our boy decides he's heard enough. He interrupts the charade with force, landing a solid punch. There are some people they simply won't be allowed to trample over. Tensions explode instantly. Our guy in black lands a brutal punch, sending the guy in the purple-white jacket reeling. Before he can even recover, the man in black looms over him, radiating an intimidating presence. Patience has clearly run out for the man in black. Looking at these arrogant punks, who keep spouting nonsense and reaching for things they shouldn't, his frustration is reaching a breaking point. The battle escalates. The guy in the brown jacket, who was just knocked down, is now being openly mocked. Facing these thugs who resort to both violence and dirty blackmail, his rage ignites. Rage, however, doesn't bridge the skill gap. No sooner does he strike back than the guy in black puts him down with a precise hit. They descend into a brutal, close-quarters brawl, with every strike echoing in the tense, suffocating room. Suddenly, the center of the conflict, that mysterious black USB, becomes the focal point. Whatever secrets it holds are clearly explosive. With a cold look, the man in black jams the drive into the other guy's head, shocking everyone nearby. The situation spirals completely out of control as they trade blows without a moment's hesitation. Every clash ends in a heavy thud, and those who were arrogant just moments ago are now left scattered, completely defeated. Our boy isn't holding back. He grabs his opponent by the collar and delivers a heavy, calculated punch, completely shifting the momentum of the fight with that single blow. Seeing his opponent left in a daze, our boy doesn't even stick around. He turns to leave the scene, walking away like he's just finished taking care of a minor annoyance. Meanwhile, the guys inside are scrambling to upload a file, clearly desperate. But before they can celebrate, our boy crashes back in, making quick work of them, and leaving the room in a mess. After clearing the room, our boy runs into Hee-won. Their exchange is tense, revealing that there's more to the story involving the study group's plans than meets the eye. The tension spikes again shortly after. When a rival tries to pull another stunt, our boy shuts it down instantly, literally smashing their gear and crushing their confidence in one go. The scene shifts to a dojo. The atmosphere seems relaxed as the guys chat about student council turf wars, but the moment Jawa Lee's name comes up, things get serious. It's clear her reputation precedes her. Facing off against these goons, our guy didn't flinch. Meanwhile, a lurking thug thought he could get the upper hand by uploading a blackmail video, but just as he was about to hit post, things took a chaotic turn. The ambush caught them completely off guard. To stop them from dragging his friends through the mud, our boy took drastic measures, ripping out the internet cable with enough force to shatter the wall port. Absolute chaos erupted. With the connection severed, our boy realized this was his only shot. He grabbed the critical hard drive and, without hesitation, bolted with his companion in a desperate race against time. A frantic chase broke out in the hallways. With the enemy closing in, our boy pushed through the exhaustion, lugging the heavy equipment and sprinting toward the lab. He knew he had to destroy that file, no matter what it took. Our antagonist thinks he's got the upper hand, threatening to drop the device like it's a winning card. He's standing there looking cocky, fully expecting our heroine to back down. He has no idea how wrong he is. But he miscalculated. Our heroine isn't playing by his rules. She doesn't hesitate for a second. She charges in with a cold, focused intensity, and just like that, the villain's smug expression vanishes instantly. With a deafening thud, she delivers a brutal judo throw, slamming him straight into the grass. The device he was holding as a bargaining chip? It hits the ground and shatters into pieces. The fight is over. He's down on the grass, barely able to breathe, while she stands over him, pinning him down with a relentless foot on his chest. It's not just a takedown. It's a total reality check for his dirty tricks. The onlookers are absolutely stunned by her ruthlessness. She's locked his arm in a painful submission hold, and while he's desperately tapping out to save his arm, she clearly isn't done with him yet. She coldly reminds him that in a street fight, judo rules simply don't exist. Seeing someone who is usually so composed act with this level of ferocity, the others watching finally realize they messed with the wrong person. The situation seems settled. The boy, cornered and broken, is forced to admit defeat under the orange-haired girl's pressure. The air in this corner of the school feels heavy, suffocating under her cold, mocking words. Outside the school gate, a mysterious hooded figure approaches, his face hidden in shadow. Meanwhile, inside the hallway, the gang's cronies are on the prowl, tightening their web of control. These thugs are clearly up to no good. They drag students around and aggressively demand the whereabouts of a critical USB drive. They treat the students like lambs to the slaughter, completely unaware that a real storm is brewing. Amidst the chaos, a sudden discovery changes everything. Our brown-haired girl spots the USB drive dropped on the floor. It's the very item everyone has been fighting to protect. She has to grab it. But the arrogant black-haired girl has set her sights on the USB too. She closes in like a predator. If she gets her hands on it, all their efforts will have been for nothing. There's nowhere left to run. Facing her opponent's relentless advance, the girl's resolve hardens. Instead of giving up, she decides to fight back. She has to at least try. With a cry, she launches a desperate, all-out attack. The sudden counterstrike catches the antagonist completely off guard. With a solid thud, her fist connects right on target. They crash to the ground together, the USB tumbling away. Looking at the scene, she's stunned she actually did it. In that moment, she finally overcame her fear. The hallway tension snaps. A hooded psycho bursts out, wielding a knife in broad daylight. It's a sudden ambush, and our friends are directly in the crosshairs. Things go from bad to worse in a heartbeat. The assailant charges, knife ready, leaving everyone paralyzed with genuine terror. This isn't a schoolyard brawl anymore. It's lethal. The blade glints, and the sheer malice in the air is suffocating. When weapons come out, the rules of the game change instantly, and the panic is palpable. Flashback to 2 days ago. We didn't know it then, but the school was already under the shadow of a gang called Pale White. The name on everyone's lips? Humble Pie, the man behind this nightmare. This isn't just typical bullying, it's a death trap. Someone warns our boy, clearly shaken, don't dig into this, because playing hero here might actually get you killed. Warnings aren't enough to stop our boy. Instead of backing down, he doubles down. If he wants to stop the chaos, he's going to have to drag the truth out into the light. Enter Hoon Jae, a kid caught in the crossfire. He's absolutely crumbling, terrified not just of the gang, but of his own father finding out he's involved. Seeing the kid on the brink, our boy doesn't hesitate. He offers a trade. Give me the full scoop on Hyunu, and maybe we can find a way out of this mess. It all starts with a heavy past. Back in middle school, these so-called troublemakers were actually top-tier students, definitely not the hopeless kids everyone thinks they are. As the truth unfolds, we discover the secret of his twin sister and their rough upbringing. Beneath the surface of this ordinary high school, there's a whole lot of hidden pain. Trying to support his sister's education, he stumbled onto the wrong path. Manipulated by a guy named Hamill into an online gambling scheme, he saw his money multiply, but it was just a trap leading him straight into the abyss. That easy money was the stepping stone to their downfall. Within a single month, desperate to survive, our boy was dragged into over 50 street fights, pushed to his absolute limit. Things spiraled out of control, leading to a bloody tragedy. Blades were drawn, blood hit the floor, and the long simmering anger finally exploded right there in the hallway. In the wake of the chaos, our teacher, Lee Hankyong, finally steps up. He cuts through the blood and filth, locking eyes with Hamill. If no one else is going to save these lost kids, he'll do it himself and rewrite the rules while he's at it. Facing a situation that would shake anyone, our guy doesn't even blink. He turns the tables and demands a conversation with Hamill. The sheer audacity of his let's talk leaves the villain stunned, and this power struggle is only just beginning. With the police arriving, the chaos only intensified, but what seemed like a typical school scuffle is clearly turning into something much darker. Our boy watches it all unfold, already calculating the deeper conspiracy at play. Facing this sudden turn, the others completely lost their composure, but our boy remains chillingly calm. A simple command, "Follow me," was all it took to break the enemy's spirit. The scene is a complete mess, filled with groans of pain and panic. Seeing their own side faltering, the villainous group's confidence completely evaporated, leaving them scrambling in total disarray. Just like that, the tension spikes. Amidst the suffocating pressure, the villain's dirty tactics are laid bare. A wave of desperation crashes down on him. His shaky mental state is finally falling apart. Looking back, maybe there was once a flicker of hope for redemption. But reality is cruel. The mistakes he's made are permanent stains, dragging him deeper into the abyss with every passing second. Even at rock bottom, he's still struggling to hold on. But to our boy, these pathetic attempts mean nothing. With a recording device discreetly planted, this might just be the final nail in his coffin. Facing the uncertainty of the future, the teacher's words weigh heavy. Even trapped in this suffocating school environment, her resolve sparks a flicker of hope in our boy and his friends. A promise made is a promise kept. The path ahead is dangerous, but seeing the cost of the teacher's sacrifice, our boy is more determined than ever to protect their dreams. Chaos erupts in an instant. Watching the teacher collapse in a pool of blood breaks our boy, leaving him overwhelmed by a mix of raw rage and crushing guilt. With the sirens fading, the chaos subsides. At the hospital, seeing the teacher wake up comes as a massive relief, though she's still worried about the fate of the study group. Life goes on, and news of the arrest spreads, hinting at a fresh start for the study group. But then, in walks the rough and tumble Hamill Pie, and he actually wants to join the group? Shifting perspectives, the orange-haired girl isn't letting anyone off the hook. When a punk tries to dodge consequences, she shuts him down with a brutal lesson in reality. After the dust settles, they find themselves at a cafe deep in thought. Getting into college sounds like a pipe dream, but in a school this crazy, can they really carve out a different path? The atmosphere at school is increasingly suffocating, with rumors of transfers and departures keeping everyone on edge. Amidst the unease, our guy remains unnervingly calm, as if these distractions are beneath his focus. The conversation soon shifts to the study group. Faced with external skepticism, our guy's singular obsession with filling the roster makes his rivals think he's lost it, even labeling him a monster who only cares about academics. The antagonists begin their verbal provocations, trying to trigger our guy by claiming he has no real intention of going to college. Yet, he remains expressionless, his cold gaze treating them like mere clowns. The provocation finally boils over into physical violence. As glass shatters, the classroom turns into chaos. It's clear the opponents came prepared, turning a verbal conflict into a deliberate attack. Amidst the scuffle, the attackers try to flip the script, accusing our guy of breaking the unspoken rule against intergrade fighting. They think they've found the moral high ground, oblivious to the fact that they are poking the bear. The trouble isn't over yet. More rival factions arrive, eager to put an end to this nonsense. Watching the enemies close in, our guy knows it's finally time to shut this drama down for good. The school unrest continues. A red-haired kid is being held down, shouting in rage. It turns out he's been causing trouble for weeks, including messing up his official club application, and now he's paying the price. Despite being outnumbered, the red-haired punk stays defiant. But his bravado falls flat against raw power. With one decisive strike, the fight comes to a sudden end. As the red-haired kid goes down, the onlookers start discussing rankings. He's been beaten, sure, but his obsession with getting stronger is clear. He's aiming to eventually face the real heavy hitter. Just as the red-haired kid keeps pushing himself, a bigger commotion breaks out. Someone actually jumped from the second floor to pin their opponent down. The sheer recklessness leaves everyone stunned. In the middle of this chaos, it turns out our boy Gammon Yoon is the ultimate target. These guys aren't just fighting for fun, they're trying to stir things up enough to draw him out. As the chaos escalates, the glasses-wearing guy looks on with pure contempt. Things are spinning out of control, and it's clear that Gammon is about to be dragged into yet another fight whether he likes it or not. With a solid, precise punch, our guy lands a hit that sends his opponent crashing to the ground, completely out of the fight. Having dealt with the immediate threat, our guy doesn't let his guard down. To him, strength means nothing without a plan in this brutal school. Even studying is a form of rebellion. Unfazed by his friend's shock, our guy pushes forward. He's determined to make this study group happen, even if everyone else thinks it's a total joke. Seeing our guy's sheer intensity, even the skeptics start to waver. Since there's no backing down now, they might as well commit to the madness after all. It's all for the sake of getting stronger. But peace doesn't last long. Just as our guy starts to focus, trouble comes knocking. The YB family has their eyes on him. Is this a challenge, or are they about to drag him into something way bigger? Facing the threat head-on, our guy's expression hardens. He won't let his friends get dragged into this mess. He knows exactly what he has to do now. The atmosphere at school has turned tense, with everyone searching for our boy's whereabouts. Little do they know, beneath this apparent disappearance, a scheme targeting these gifted thugs is quietly unfolding. After some digging, his friends finally piece together the clues. Our boy has left school to find someone named June. Gammon is left alone with his mounting anxiety, his nerves stretched to the absolute breaking point. The scene suddenly shifts to a desolate industrial zone at night. A group of mysterious figures are setting a trap, calling it a standing army test specifically targeting the tough kids from Yusung High. Our boy's path seems to be leading him straight into their snare. The rules are absurdly simple. Grab the car key, and you pass. But behind this lure of success lies a bloody screening process, where lives are at stake. Even dangerous killers are being dragged into this mess. Faced with this grandiose, manipulative speech, will anyone actually buy it? Just as the tension reaches its peak, and sudden, explosive outburst shreds the fake facade. Looks like a brutal confrontation is inevitable. The fight is heating up. In this violent recruitment test, our boy Gammon Yoon is facing the full force of the White Lead organization. The thugs think this is just an easy hunt, but Gammon's sheer tenacity is catching them off guard. Despite the brutal hazing, Gammon doesn't back down. Even battered and bruised, he fights like a cornered beast. The gang members thought they could toy with this honor student, but Gammon's terrifying combat potential has them rattled. Then, the tides turn. Watching Gammon erupt with a counterattack as fierce as wildfire, the cocky thugs finally realize the truth. This kid isn't a lamb for the slaughter. He's a ticking time bomb. Meanwhile, Gammon's persistence hits an unexpected turning point. On that blood-stained test paper, despite scoring only 24 points, there's an unexpected verdict. He passed. Jaiwoo and the others arrive to witness this, stunned. It turns out Gammon wasn't just here to save people. His seemingly clumsy test was a calculated gamble to infiltrate the enemy. Looking at Gammon's faint, cunning smile, it seems this desperate test has only just begun. Facing these students from Yusung High, the guy clearly doesn't see them as a threat. Wielding a long pipe, he looks down on them with nothing but pure contempt. It starts as a one-sided beatdown. The guy swings that pipe with malicious intent, and he's even stomping on his victim's head, bragging about how violence is the only thing that earns respect. Just when it seems over, our guys finally snap. To protect their friends, they launch a counterattack. A chaotic brawl erupts instantly, with both sides throwing everything they've got. Even though their opponent's swings are heavy and dangerous, our guy and his team refuse to back down. After trading blows, they start reading his rhythm, turning the tide of the fight. The intensity peaks. The guy's wild swings have left him wide open. Spotting the perfect gap, our guy lunges in with a decisive counter, landing a heavy strike that completely shifts the momentum. With the dust settling, the guy stares at the students still standing before him, finally showing a hint of shock. The legends about Yusung High weren't lying. The real heavy hitters are just getting started. Facing the blade, our boy doesn't flinch. Instead, he coolly shreds the enemy's knowledge is power rhetoric sometimes. Fists are the only truth that matters. The skirmish escalates instantly, as words give way to pure violence. Our boy lands a heavy blow, shattering the stalemate and plunging the scene into chaos. The enemy is clearly no pushover. As the boss's son, he fights with a ruthless, effortless dominance that sends a clear message to everyone. They aren't even in the same league. Facing such an overwhelming power gap, our allies are taking a beating, completely unable to fight back. Watching this one-sided thrashing is enough to make anyone nervous. Just when it seems like the end, the guy acts like he has all the time in the world to smoke. His arrogance creates the opening our boy desperately needs after all. Underestimating your opponent is the ultimate mistake. Just as the thug thinks he's in control, our guy, that gray-haired detective, steps in. He's not about to let this bullying slide. He moves in to restrain the black-haired thug, and it's clear a real fight is about to break out. Meanwhile, the precinct is in chaos. Trying to track down the elusive Hamble Pie feels like fighting the entire system. Seeing the indifference of his peers, our detective knows that if he doesn't press the issue, these thugs will never face justice even if it leaves him completely on his own. Back at the station, he's even lowering himself to ask for help from above, just for a glimmer of hope. But watching the suspect walk out with such ease, it's suffocating. He's giving it his all, only to realize he's caught in a web of corruption. Turning to the red-haired guy, this is a brutal betrayal. His so-called friends left him behind, coldly telling him he was never a rival, shattering his illusions. Waking up from his blackout, he's left to face his injuries and the harsh reality of being abandoned. Facing such a one-sided beatdown, our boy's calm expression quickly turned cold. Seeing the thug trampling his fallen comrade was the absolute last straw. Despite the thug's arrogant taunts, our boy remained unerringly calm. Meanwhile, his injured comrade felt utterly helpless, blaming himself for becoming a burden. As the fight stalled, his mind drifted back to the grueling days of training. Gammon had struggled to find his path, eventually realizing that true strength comes from the obsession to protect and surpass himself. His uncle had forbidden these dangerous techniques, knowing they required more than just skill, they needed absolute resolve. Now, to end this madness once and for all, our boy unleashes that forbidden strike. Back to reality, the arrogant thug didn't even see it coming, a single, explosive strike that sent him flying. This wasn't just raw power. It was the culmination of everything our boy has learned about survival. This was the legendary one-inch punch, capable of stealing the breath from an opponent by concentrating all power into a single point. As the thug collapsed, he finally realized exactly what kind of monster he had provoked. The sudden, lethal car attack leaves everyone scattered and reeling. Our boy is caught off guard, but his immediate combat reflexes are sharp enough to genuinely shock his opponents. The fight spirals out of control as the enemy abandons all honor, using their vehicle as a weapon. With tires screeching, the situation becomes incredibly dangerous and chaotic. Witnessing the madness, the group is stunned by the driver's sheer malice. Behind the wheel, the psychopath grins, clearly savoring the chaos like it's just a game. Thankfully, everyone survived without major injuries for now. As they catch their breath, they can't help but wonder, why are they dragged into this life-or-death gang war when they just want to study? Fury reignites the battlefield. Despite the enemy's dirty tactics, our boy and his crew show incredible resilience, holding their ground and pushing back against the attackers. Tires screech as the vehicle narrowly misses them again. Collapsing to the ground, the group is left breathless, still feeling the lingering tension of yet another near-death experience. The danger isn't over. The madman behind the wheel is still waiting, eager to finish the job. Cornered, the group is now faced with a disgusting ultimatum from their attackers. A vengeful undercurrent is rising. These thugs have clearly set their sights on our boy's study group, and their words are heavy with malicious intent as they probe for information. What started as casual chatter unexpectedly unravels a cruel truth. The mother who passed away amidst all that violence was actually a teacher at Yusung Technical High. That realization instantly ignited the suppressed rage and hatred within the boy. Our boy isn't about to sit back and let this open provocation slide. Without hesitation, he hops on his bike and peels out, tearing down the road in hot pursuit of the car carrying the person who wronged him. On these streets tonight, speed and fury collide. Even though the gang has an ambush waiting, the boy's sheer, resolute killing intent makes it clear tonight is going to end in a reckoning. The streets are never quiet. While onlookers wonder why some guys are impervious to the cold, the real tension is elsewhere. That reckless punk they've been targeting? Turns out, he's a much tougher nut to crack than anyone expected. Faced with this mess, some are already looking for an exit, eager to cut ties with the troublemakers. But in the shadows, a hooded figure watches silently, his gaze locked onto a target. It's not over yet! Before long, the hooded figure makes his move. He doesn't waste time with words, launching a brutal assault, clearly intending to clear anyone standing in his way. Our boy remains unfazed, even taking a moment to critique his opponent's form. But the assailant isn't holding back, weapon in hand and madness in his eyes. This isn't just a challenge, it's a lethal strike. Just when the attacker thinks he's landed a hit, our boy snaps back with raw power, slamming him away. Looking at the shock on the attacker's face, our boy's eyes are cold. Trying to win with tricks like that? You've got a long way to go. Defeated and desperate, the attacker collapses, screaming about his mother. It turns out the roots of this chaos point to something much darker: the White Lead gang. Facing the ambush, our boy shows off his dominant combat skills, unleashing a swift counterattack that leaves his opponent defenseless. The fight ends in a flash, and before the villain can even process what happened, our boy secures the vital intel and neutralizes the threat. Checking the confiscated phone, the chat logs reveal a shocking truth: the White Lead gang knew everything about the teacher's movements. There's clearly a mole involved, and the situation just got a whole lot more complicated. Just as the scene is wrapping up, a frantic message arrives. His friend Gunyop is in critical condition. Our boy's eyes tighten as the urgency hits. He needs to move immediately to save him. Police quickly lock down the overpass, hauling away the troublemakers. Rumors spread among the onlookers. No one can believe that a bunch of high schoolers actually managed to take down a hardened gangster on their own. Even with the evidence right in front of them, it's hard for everyone to wrap their heads around the outcome. After all, the guy they defeated was known as a brutal monster. Either way, this clash has completely shattered their perception of these students. With the police arriving on the scene, our boy and his group finally catch a break. The chaos is settling, and the troublemakers are finally getting what's coming to them. Looking at the officers, our boy contemplates the lesson that violence isn't the answer, even if reality suggests otherwise. The detective hands him a card, promising to show up anytime even if he's in the bathroom, which brings a surprising sense of relief. As the patrol cars pull away, the tension lingers. From checking in on wounds over the phone to reflecting on the night's events, the crisis surrounding the study group finally seems to be behind them. Just when things felt settled, a stranger on a bike screeches to a halt. He stops our boy with an unsettling expression, insisting that they need to go find Park Gun-yeep immediately because he's in serious trouble. Before our boy can even process the stranger's frantic plea, his phone starts buzzing. It's his mom, calling repeatedly. Caught between a friend in danger and his own responsibilities at home, it looks like his night is far from over. On this suffocating night, Gammon's mother waits by the phone, her voice thick with worry and blame. She can't wrap her head around why he's choosing to get mixed up in such dangerous trouble. Meanwhile, the tension on the other end of the line reaches a breaking point. With scathing rebukes cutting through the city night, it's clear trouble has arrived. Gammon grips his phone, his gaze hardening. He isn't planning on just taking this lying down. Cutting to the scene of a preset trap, Gammon finds his allies held captive. Seeing their condition, his usual composure vanishes, replaced by a cold, deadly silence hanging heavy in the air. The villain's trash talk doesn't faze him one bit. With a swift, powerful kick, Gammon smashes the door open. The curtain on his counterattack has officially risen. The sudden arrival leaves everyone in shock. No one expected Gammon, who should have been home studying, to show up here. This isn't just a burst of anger, it's a fierce determination to protect his own. Back at the precinct, the officers are scrambling to make sense of the chaos. While they worry about the fallout, the real action is hitting a fever pitch elsewhere, with Gammon's allies fighting tooth and nail for an opening. On the battlefield, the silver-haired fighter dominates the skirmish. As the dust settles, Gammon's allies make their coordinated escape. For those desperate to leave this nightmare behind, this night just offered a glimmer of hope. The door bursts open, and a raid begins without warning. This isn't just a simple brawl, it's a calculated strike to clear the board. That blacklist is finally exposed, and the rare 4-star mark shocks everyone. It's not just a threat, it's a terrifying testament to his raw power. As the investigation digs deeper, the situation gets complicated. It's no longer just a gang conflict. With the police involved, the stakes have shifted completely. Memories flood back, revealing a blood-soaked past. The despair and agony from back then remain a haunting nightmare, fueling the hatred that drives them now. Despite being battered and injured, our boy refuses to stop. Burdened by unresolved questions and physical pain, he presses on, bracing for the storm ahead. Dragging his injured body, Gunyop finally returned home. His father was concerned, but even more so about the information his son brought back, which might be the key to the truth. Meanwhile, our guy is still burning the midnight oil studying. Messages pop up, real-time coordinates, and intel from the police, making this seemingly quiet night feel like a storm is brewing. To make coordination easier, our guy set up a group chat. Watching the messages flood in, the classmates were shocked and hyped, praising our guy's move. The only missing piece was Jaiwu. As the notification pings kept coming, even the skeptics joined in, sending memes and joking around, even using nicknames for a moment. In this toxic school, there was a rare spark of youthful spirit. At this moment, our guy became the talk of the town. Seen as a rival and a trusted ally, everyone started to realize that maybe, just maybe, things could actually change in this school. However, while everyone was full of hope, malice was brewing in the shadows. Watching the school get back on track, the mastermind didn't back down. Instead, he doubled down on destroying it. As the document was torn, a new storm was set to arrive. It all starts with this photo, a woman crossed out in red, serving as an ominous signal. 1 week after the study group formed, while life seems calm on the surface, the ghosts of the past are beginning to resurface. The group chat is buzzing with study updates. Everyone is diligently logging their hours, except for one slacker who tried to get away with 15 minutes of math only to be roasted and slapped with a fine. At the school gate, our boy Gammon gets cornered by the student council. Their excuse? He isn't wearing a winter uniform, even suggesting he should go steal one. It's an annoying power trip, and though Gammon's patience is wearing thin, he tries to keep his cool to avoid trouble. Just as the situation stalls, and the council tries to enforce their bogus rules, Ms. Lee steps in. She points out with sharp authority that it's April 21st and nobody needs to be in winter gear, leaving the council members speechless. With the gate drama resolved, Gammon walks alongside Ms. Lee. Despite her recent injury, she's still joking about being a heroic teacher. Seeing her play it cool, Gammon feels a mix of relief and genuine concern for her. Ms. Lee mentions catching a gang scout, a reminder that the danger is real. Gammon is visibly affected, it's a lot to process. But when she gently pats his head, acknowledging his hard work, the bond between them is clear. They're no longer just teacher and student, but partners ready to take on the chaos together. Teacher Lee submits the study group application to the principal, expecting a routine approval. But the moment the principal sees the list, he's absolutely stunned. Rumors are flying. Everyone's heard how Ms. Lee took a blade to protect a student. She's become a goddess in their eyes, which only makes the principal's position more awkward. Dealing with the aftermath and that frustrating expulsion committee is a nightmare. The principal just wants to hide. Expelling a troublemaker like Humble Pie is way more complicated than it looks. Suddenly, another teacher snaps, demanding Humble Pie be expelled immediately. Seeing the chaos, Ms. Lee realizes she can't handle this alone. She needs to find a new way forward. Meanwhile, our boy Gammon walks in, still smelling like oil and totally oblivious to the fact that he's the talk of the school. The weird atmosphere in the classroom has him genuinely confused. The classroom is buzzing with whispers. Some think Gammon's a dangerous bully, others pity him. Dealing with all these judgmental stares, Gammon just feels like life is getting stranger by the day. Teacher Lee is desperate to dismantle the school's corrupt hierarchy, so she reaches out to a powerful student leader for help. However, this guy is a cold pragmatist. He couldn't care less about her conviction or passion. He only values results. He coldly challenges her. If her study group can produce a top student by the midterms, only then will he consider using his power to help her. Ironically, this hope of the school that Teacher Lee is counting on is actually the worst bully on campus. He isn't just a top scholar and a mechanical genius. He uses his status to ruthlessly suppress others. He's currently showing his true colors, brutally disciplining a student while gloating about his superiority. Back in the office, Teacher Lee is backed into a corner. Facing the student's arrogant demands, she realizes this battle is far more complex than she imagined. It's not just a conversation. It's a high-stakes power game where she must protect her students while finding a way to succeed under his twisted conditions. That's when the situation boils over. Our boy Gammon has seen enough. He was holding back, but when the bully starts badmouthing Jaiwoo, Gammon loses it. He doesn't care about the guy's top student credentials or his reputation. Fed up with the arrogance, our guy steps up, ready to make him swallow those insults. Facing the villain's shameless provocations, the tension reached a breaking point. Just as the guy in gray started spouting his trashy insults, the situation finally exploded into conflict. Despite being provoked, our boy chose restraint. After all, besides these petty insults, bigger things are at stake. The school authorities and the powers behind them are clearly watching his every move. Seeing the provoker laid out, our boy can't help but feel the weight. He knows that in this cutthroat environment, fists aren't enough. If they don't prove themselves through their grades, they'll never escape this nightmare. Just then, their teacher, Ms. Lee, appeared with a long-awaited signal for the study group to assemble. The oppressive atmosphere in the classroom finally flickered with a spark of hope. But don't think this is just some ordinary study group. Ms. Lee knows that to survive in this malicious school, these kids need to crush those midterms. It's the only leverage she has to take on the dark forces looming over them. To give everyone a reality check, Ms. Lee publicly reveals the group's test scores. Seeing those dismal rankings and grades, the students' playful banter instantly vanishes. Finally, it's our boy's turn. Expecting at least a passing grade, the results drop, and the room goes dead silent. He somehow managed a measly 25 points. Just when everyone thinks the group is hopeless, Seon's score is revealed. 83, third in the entire school. This shocking twist leaves everyone stunned. Turns out he's the secret genius. Despite their abysmal foundation, now that they're a study group, there's no turning back. Watching their sudden resolve, Ms. Lee acts tough about the odds, but her gaze softens. With only 20 days until midterms, if they follow her plan and give it their all, a miracle might just happen. As the sun sets, the real training begins. Teacher Lee laid it out clearly. To stand a chance against Hanwoo Pai, they need a top student. While everyone agrees that Se-yeon has the best academic shot more than our boy Gammon, he's drowning in family pressure. Luckily, Gammon steps up, promising to handle the chaos so Se-yeon can focus on his future. Realizing just how toxic Se-yeon's situation really is, Gammon decides to take action. But back at home, Se-yeon is trapped. His father is completely ignoring his academic achievements, forcing him to work at the construction site instead of pursuing college. Even with a hard-earned third-place score, all Se-yeon gets from his father is ridicule and abuse. As he spirals into despair, wondering why his life is so difficult, the school thugs spot a weakness and begin to close in on him. Just as Se-yeon is feeling cornered, an unexpected interaction with a girl leaves him completely flustered. But while he's distracted by the surprise, the shadows around them are shifting, and a more sinister threat is closing in. The tension finally boils over in the alleyway. The thugs don't hold back, attacking with brutal intent. With no way to talk their way out of this, it's clear a fight is inevitable. The air in the alley is suffocating. The girl is trapped, her hair grabbed, twisted in pain. Seeing these thugs bullying his friend so ruthlessly, our boy's blood begins to boil. Seeing his friend in such distress, our boy can no longer stand by. Regardless of the odds, his instinct to protect pushes him forward, completely overriding any sense of fear. In that moment, memories of calmer days wash over him, walking home together, sharing simple, peaceful moments. The more he treasures those memories, the harder it is to contain his fury. Back in reality, the thug continues his taunts, completely unrepentant. His smug, arrogant face is the final straw for our boy. He has reached his limit. There is no more room for restraint. If the bully wants a fight, he's got one. Our boy strikes without hesitation. His pent-up rage explodes into a single, decisive punch, driven by the desperate need to protect his friend. The tension in the alley was suffocating. Faced with these arrogant bullies, the victims were helpless against the assault, while the aggressors continued their taunts, completely disregarding anyone else. The lead bully scoffed at their inability to fight back, mocking anyone who dared to oppose him. He applied pressure without restraint, his malice practically dripping from every word. Just as hope seemed lost, a familiar figure appeared. This unexpected turn of events stunned the bullies. They certainly hadn't expected our boy to show up right at this moment. Before they could even process his arrival, our boy made his move. Without a word, he landed a precise flick right on the bully's face, catching him completely off guard. The bully's arrogant grin vanished, replaced by genuine shock. Our boy remained perfectly calm, as if he'd just swatted a fly, his composure creating an unsettling tension. Surprisingly, instead of escalating the violence, our boy calmly proposed they play a game. His bizarrely composed demeanor, in such a volatile situation, completely threw the bully off balance. Our boy stands completely unfazed by the provocation. He simply adjusts his glasses, his gaze hardening instantly. These punks have no idea who they're about to mess with. It's chaos, with the opposing team desperate to win and obsessed with catching our boy's defeat on camera. Even in the heat of the struggle, their singular, pathetic goal remains the same. Before they can finish their taunts, our boy moves. One lightning-fast strike sends the guy flying into the wall. The silence that follows says that all this is exactly why he's feared. The witnesses are in shock. They've finally realized that this unassuming student is the legendary monster who knocks people out in one hit. Our boy, meanwhile, treats it like a game, mocking them with rock, paper, scissors while systematically breaking their spirit. But they aren't giving up, desperate to use the footage to ruin him. Seeing they're still fixated on their phones, our boy's expression turns cold. He sprints forward, his speed catching them completely off guard. With a dull thud, the guy holding the phone goes flying, and the device is totaled. Before he can process what happened, our boy is right in his face, calmly repeating, "I told you, I'm camera shy." Facing the endless provocations and threats from the gangs, our boy isn't fazed. Even with threats of expulsion hanging over his head, he sees right through their schemes and chooses to walk away, refusing to play along with their toxic games. As he walks away, the bullies mock him from behind, thinking they've won. But our boy knows better. In this swamp of a situation, he's the only one who truly holds the cards to his own future. The moment he steps inside, there's no peace, only a harsh slap. His father's violent shouting fills the room instantly. Compared to the bullying outside, his home life is a suffocating, different kind of hell. His father doesn't care about his future, only the debt. He demands the boy quit school to work, using his mother's debt as a leash to humiliate him. Facing this repulsive tirade, our boy's patience finally reaches its breaking point. Enough is enough. Our boy finally stops staying silent. He fights back, refusing to back down even when things get physical. He makes his stance clear. No matter how hard it gets, he will graduate and pay off this debt on his own terms. When his father viciously insults his mother one last time, the fire in our boy's eyes ignites. Even facing his own family's verbal abuse, he refuses to lower his head. In this moment, he stops being a pushover and fully commits to carving out his own path, away from this distorted life. Our guy is looking battered, clearly fresh out of a rough fight. When his classmate catches up, he tries to brush him off, even getting aggressive to keep him at bay. But the guy is visibly shaken, staring in disbelief at the intensity in our boy's eyes. Our guy tries to downplay the situation, claiming he's just out for fresh air, but his friend isn't buying it. He drops a bombshell, mentioning he knows all about Gammon's family trouble and claims he understands. That catches our guy off guard. He never expected the bookworm to see right through him. While they think they've reached an understanding, trouble is lurking in the shadows. A group of thugs is tailing our guy, zeroing in on his home address. They're getting impatient and decide it's time to pay a visit and make a mess of things. Back at the bookworm's place, the vibe is just as toxic. The insane pressure of the upcoming exams has pushed him to the brink, leading to outbursts at home. The weight of it all seems to be warping his judgment, twisting his perspective on Gammon in a dangerous direction. Driven by that twisted mindset, he makes a call. On the other end is a thug named Manhwa, and they start hashing out a deal like old pals. They aren't talking cash, but the moon course he orders carries a much heavier price. A trap is being set for our guy, all finalized over a casual phone call. Manhwa is clearly up to no good, wearing that playful yet disdainful smirk while asking about our boy. To him, Gammon seems like nothing more than a lab rat, and a sinister plan against him is already in motion. The gears of the plot are turning fast. Someone's already been ordered to dig up our guy's address. It looks like trouble is heading his way much sooner than expected. Meanwhile, things are getting tense on the streets. The friend is frantic, desperate to beat the 10 p.m. curfew. Our guy tries to help, but the friend's overwhelming sense of inferiority makes it hard for him to accept, turning every act of kindness into a source of stress. Seeing how guilty and sensitive his friend is, our guy doesn't lecture him. He just stands by his side. To him, helping a friend is simple, but his calm acceptance only makes the friend feel like even more of a burden. When the clock strikes 10, it's game over. The friend gets chewed out by his mom over the phone and threatened with a school transfer. Stranded with nowhere to go, he's left wandering the night, wondering how he's going to survive until morning. Trying to stay off the radar, our guy wanders the streets in a panic, but the gang's goons have already caught his scent. He overhears them hunting for our boy's address to trash his place. Terrified, he realizes he has to warn him before it's too late. The pursuers close in, and his location is blown. Facing the gang's blockade in this maze of alleys, he's hitting his breaking point. Hiding spots run out, and he's finally cornered. The thug, fed up with the chase, decides to beat the answer out of him. Pushed to the brink, he finds a flicker of defiance. But before he can even react, the thug lands a brutal, devastating blow. Seeing the thug fuming, our boy stays focused near the trash can. Even with his headphones ripped, he tries to stay on the line, ignoring the sudden ambush. The thug was stalking him all along. Now, he's playing twisted mind games, forcing our boy to move like a puppet, treating the fight like a sick game. Facing endless insults and pressure, the desperation to win finally ignites our boy's rage. He stops retreating, clenches his fists, and prepares to fight back head-on. The scene shifts to Cian, still shaken. Seeing that familiar face brings up complex emotions, the struggling friend reminds him of his own helpless past. Life's hard without the right answers. With that thought, our boy decides to protect him. Spotting Cian running for his life, he immediately springs into action. Seeing the pursuers closing in, our boy's gaze turns ice cold. He knows that if he doesn't step up now, no one will. This time, he's not staying back. Caught off guard by our boy's sudden intervention, the opponent is left baffled, wondering, are all guys from Yusung High this stubborn? Facing these thugs, our boy is actually directing the fight remotely via phone. While the golden-haired thug mocks Cian for his clumsy stance, he doesn't realize he's being played. Just then, Gammon gives the order, "Get down." Despite his confusion about why Gammon called, Cian instinctively obeys. That split-second duck saves him from a vicious punch. The fight doesn't stop. The thug presses his advantage, knowing he outclasses Cian. But Gammon stays calm, whispering through the phone that if Cian just follows orders, victory is certain. As expected, following Gammon's cold, calculated commands, Cian manages the impossible dodging and blocking. It's like Gammon is piloting a puppet, deconstructing the thug's attacks piece by piece. It finally clicks for Cian. Gammon isn't teaching him fighting techniques, just giving simple, effective commands. It's a strange, surreal trust. As long as he listens, he feels invincible. The golden-haired thug is losing his mind. Every strike that should have landed ends up missing. The frustration of being outplayed despite his raw power is driving him into a rage. Caught in the heat of battle, our boy is struggling. He's not just fighting for himself. He's trying to protect Cian, who has zero combat experience. He knows he can't treat a regular student like a trained soldier, and that makes every move a delicate gamble. With the fight stalling, our boy goes all in, landing a desperate head but that breaks the deadlock. It's a move that takes everything he's got, leaving both of them crashing to the ground exhausted and bruised. Looking at Cian, our boy realizes something crucial. It's not about perfect grades. Sometimes, just getting one right answer, one small victory is all it takes to prove to yourself that you're not a total failure. As they walk home under the night sky, the tension finally fades. But our boy suddenly shifts gears, his expression turning serious. He eyes Cian, finally asking that lingering question, what did he mean when he said they were alike? That brief moment of peace doesn't last long. Coming face to face with his mother brings the crushing weight of reality crashing down. Her words are cold, forcing our boy to confront the complicated mess of his own life once again. But danger is closer than he thinks. A group of shadowy figures has been tailing them, and they've tracked him all the way home. Things just went from bad to worse. The real fight is about to begin. Our boy's friend is mid-scuffle with some punks, who have the audacity to call themselves the guardians of this apartment building. But the moment they see who actually showed up, the bravado instantly turns into sheer terror. It turns out Gammon's mother has arrived on the scene. She's decisive and doesn't hold back, immediately demanding Gammon transfer schools. Caught between his mother's iron will and his own life, Gammon is left completely stunned. Trying to de-escalate, Gammon quickly explains he was just studying, even boasting about his third-place rank in school. His mom listens, but her dismissive comment about school rankings being meaningless leaves everyone wondering where she stands. Thankfully, while his mom is assertive, she isn't unreasonable. Seeing how late it is, she makes an exception and lets Gammon bring his friend home to sleep over. It's in this moment that Gammon truly realizes just how unique his mother is. Back at home, Gammon is weighed down by guilt. He's genuinely worried that his mom will force him to transfer, and that he's dragged his friend into this mess. Seeing Gammon tear up over his concern, the tension is palpable. Gammon knows his mother's nature all too well. When she tells you to get ready for something, she's absolutely serious. Whether it was the divorce or life events before that, when she makes up her mind, there's no changing it. Thinking back, his mother has always been decisive in the face of life's major shifts. She promised to raise him on her own, simply hoping he'd grow up to be kind. Beneath that cold, assertive exterior lies a mother's profound, heavy love. Facing such genuine care, our boy can't help but feel moved. She comforts him, reminding him that grades aren't everything, and even hands him a list of schools proving she's truly looking out for his future. It's a quiet moment of warmth that hits him harder than he expected. Late at night, the two share their thoughts. Learning that their homeroom teacher used to be his tutor comes as a total shock to his friend. But seeing our boy's intense, almost frantic obsession with studying, his friend can't help but wonder, what exactly is he pushing so hard for? Sitting alone on the stairs, our boy is weighed down by a heavy sense of reflection. The sting of feeling like no one expects anything from you hits deep. But despite the struggle, he knows he has no regrets about going back for his friend, no matter the cost. Cut to our boy. Fired up by his study plan, the group is finally working. But meanwhile, rumors about him transferring are spiraling out of control. Peeking from the hallway, his peers watch the headmaster's office, terrified that their key player is really about to leave. To secure a stable environment for our boy, the group is desperately planning a transfer to a reputable high school. They thought the plan was foolproof, but things are clearly spiraling out of control. Just when they thought it was over, their last-ditch effort actually worked. They're all stunned by the sudden news of approval. Nobody expected them to actually pull it off. But before they could even celebrate, a bombshell dropped. To force the transfer, our boy's mom decided they should just move to Seoul. It's an extreme move that left everyone completely baffled. Despite the chaos, our boy remains incredibly determined. He insists on attending Yusung High, believing that one's environment dictates their future. He's dead set on the path to college. While our boy stays focused on his dream, the adults are running around in a panic over the logistics of moving. Meanwhile, the school environment remains just as violent and hostile as ever. His journey to a peaceful education won't be easy. Facing yet another fight in the hallway, our boy Gammon can't help but feel exhausted. That's the third scrap he's witnessed today, and of course, there's not a single teacher in sight. He's starting to wonder why this school is like this. Just as Gammon is questioning the chaos, things take a turn for the worse. His mother has been caught in the crossfire and knocked down. Seeing the desks flying and glass shattering everywhere, he rushes over, panicked, to check if she's okay. Seeing the devastation, his mother coldly remarks that this place isn't even a school anymore. As she walks away, Gammon is left standing in the wreckage. With his dream of forming a study group and getting into college under constant assault, he begins to wonder if his plans are about to end right here. While Gammon is struggling with his thoughts, a teacher is frantically searching for the principal, only to run into the irritable vice principal. Instead of help, she gets an earful of insults, as he rants about the losers fighting again, and makes it clear he has no time for contract teachers. The teachers are just adding to the panic, hovering around and asking for Gammon, as if he's the root of all the school's problems. Meanwhile, Gammon is reeling from the news that night classes have been cancelled, leaving him completely blindsided. In the shadows, the gang-connected students are plotting. They see our boy as a thorn in their side, and have decided that if they can't break him, they'll target his weakness, his mom. They believe driving her away is the fastest way to get rid of him. When his mom demands he transfer, Gammon refuses to back down. This isn't just about school, it's the last stand for his dream. Even though she thinks he's just suffering, he's determined not to give up, no matter how hard she pushes. Looking at her stubborn son, his mother is torn between love and regret. She thought supporting him was the right thing to do, but now she fears she's only caused him pain. She firmly tells him she can't give in this time, setting the stage for a heart-wrenching standoff. With a click of the car door, our guy Gammon sets off on an uncertain journey. Determined to protect his study group and spare his mother any more tears, he chooses to face reality head-on, no matter what lies ahead. Meanwhile, Ms. Lee and the crew rush to the scene, only to find an empty parking lot. Gammon has transferred? They can't believe it, but they're definitely not ready to give up on him just yet. Facing everyone's confusion, Ms. Lee's eyes betray a flicker of complexity. She knows Gammon's mother better than anyone, but she also knows the sheer stubborn tenacity Gammon has for his dreams, a trait he developed under her guidance. If there's no way out, we'll make one. Ms. Lee decides on the spot if Gammon is fighting for his future, they're with him. It sounds like a crazy plan, but it's their only shot at bringing him back. Meanwhile, Gammon sits in the car, expression somber. Back at school, the gangster heir is already plotting his next move to get rid of him for good. The storm is clearly brewing. Back with the crew, everyone is geared up. With passes in hand and seatbelts buckled, their hearts are pounding. The special mission to bring their friend back is officially underway. To catch up with Gammon, Ms. Lee is going all out, renting a car to take the whole group. It's her first time driving the students on such a trip, and she's definitely nervous, but seeing their trust, she grips the wheel and stays focused on the mission. The tension inside the car is palpable, but their determination is unshaken. They're constantly checking their phones, desperately searching for any sign of Gammon. They know one thing for sure, they can't let him face this despair alone. As the miles fly by, the conversation naturally turns to Gammon. The boy who'd take on any burden just to protect their study group is now facing everything alone. Ms. Lee stares out the window, silently promising not to let him lose his way. They're pulling out all the stops to save time, using real-time traffic data to outsmart the GPS. Thanks to their combined effort, they've cut 15 minutes off the trip. As they draw closer to their destination, the hope in their eyes is clearly reignited. If they can just go a little faster, they might reach him before he makes an irreversible decision. This race against time is a crucial step for their future. No matter the obstacles, they are determined to bring Gammon back to the group. The tension on the road spikes instantly. With engines roaring, the motorcycles tear through the air, forcing a chaotic stop that leaves everyone in the cars visibly rattled. It's clear these guys aren't here for a friendly chat. Just then, the leader emerges with a look of pure disdain. He immediately recognizes our protagonist's acquaintance, wasting no time with taunts. It's a clear attempt to rattle them with some old-school intimidation. Facing this brazen threat, they even drop Gammon Yoon's name, trying to break their resolve with mind games. But this kind of provocation only makes the situation even more explosive. Our guy, however, isn't easily swayed. Even in the middle of this mess, he stays calm and hits back with a sharp warning, telling them not to interfere, a remark that only infuriates the arrogant gang further. As the argument escalates, they lash out with insults, mocking the old rank-first hierarchy. It's obvious they're bitter about Gammon's current standing and are desperate to tear him down. Finally, as the confrontation reaches its breaking point, the challenger lays it out. If they want to be strong, they better prepare for the terror that's coming. The real fight for the title of strongest is just beginning. The red-haired fighter unleashes an explosive assault, landing heavy blows while experimenting with high-difficulty aerial moves. Even as his opponents try to lecture him about rankings and rules, he ignores them entirely, focusing only on the next devastating strike. Not long ago, he was just as desperate to level up, pestering others to teach him their moves. Looking at his notes, you can see he's dead serious about getting stronger. His recklessness aside, he's clearly putting in the hard work to master these dangerous techniques. Back in the fray, the red-haired fighter acts like an unstoppable force of nature. He crashes down with a crushing aerial kick, leaving his opponent floored. Everyone watching is stunned. Even with him shouting about Gammon Yoon, his sheer, manic dominance is genuinely terrifying to behold. His opponent, beaten to a pulp, tries to lecture him about climbing the ranks slowly, but these tired threats fall on deaf ears. The red-haired fighter's eyes are burning with a ferocity that suggests he has no intention of letting up, let alone listening. Amidst the chaos, our boy Gammon is behind the wheel, driving with singular focus. Feeling the tension in his hands, his eyes sharpen. He knows Gammon is slipping further away, and the real showdown is just about to begin. Our boy isn't backing down. Spotting an opening, he dives into the fray and lands a clean, heavy punch that sends the leader flying. It's not just a display of strength. He's making it clear that if they want to mess with his people, they'll have to go through him first. Even as the thugs try to taunt him, Gammon couldn't care less. He lets out a cold smirk looking at the mess he's made, a reaction so dismissive it actually drives his opponents into a blind, furious rage. The situation spirals as the thugs realize they're outmatched. Desperate, they start gunning for the car keys. One guy in a helmet goes berserk, dragging his own teammate and trying to smash through the car window with sheer brute force. Inside, Gammon grips the steering wheel tight. The glass is cracking under the onslaught, but he remains ice cold. Outside, the thugs are still shouting, grabbing rocks to smash their way in. But Gammon watches them, his gaze devoid of fear, only a chilling, quiet confidence. When the dust settles, the thugs who acted so high and mighty are left scattered across the ground. Seeing their elite fighters taken down by a supposed loser and a couple of girls, the villain's pride is in tatters. Gammon and Lee Jae-woo exchange a look. The fight was easier than expected. As the enemy rages, the truth unfolds. These gang lackeys hope to climb the ranks by targeting Yusung, only to find themselves blocked at every turn, all because of our boy, Gammon Yoon. With the crack of a pool cue, the system begins to fracture. The villains, blaming all their failures on Gammon, are desperate to eliminate him, even launching a reckless, deadly chase against Ms. Lee on the open road. Facing this vicious pursuit, Ms. Lee shows incredible resolve. She shields her students with her life, refusing to back down even as her car spirals out of control. To those she protects, she's not just a teacher, she's a legend who stands tall against the darkness. With a thunderous crash, a red motorcycle flips through the air and slams into the car, peaking the chaos. The villains may shout and scheme to clean up their mess, but against someone with Gammon's resolve, their plots are running out of steam. Back to training, Gammon shows off a terrifying display of skill. A single dragon kick shatters a tree trunk, leaving everyone stunned. Real strength doesn't need words. This kick is a clear message that the days of pushing them around are over. Inside the tense car, our boy senses something wrong. He's being followed. But with school on his mind, he can't afford to stop, even as the pressure starts to mount. Time is running out, so the team makes a quick decision: split up. The allies decide to hold off the pursuit, knowing that if Gammon's mom signs the contract, it's all over. The fight breaks out instantly. Though the ally talks a big game, he clearly underestimated the opponent. One heavy punch is all it takes to send him reeling. Despite the brutal barrage, the ally doesn't back down. He even manages to mock his opponent while getting hit. This stubbornness only infuriates the villain, making his next moves even more vicious. The tide turns quickly. Outmatched by the opponent's destructive force, the ally is completely overwhelmed, taking heavy hits and getting sent flying across the scene. The opponent sees right through the ally's reliance on kicks, mocking him for it. As the ally makes a desperate final move, the opponent is ready, intercepting the attack with a crushing blow. The school bullying was relentless. The thugs not only beat him down, but also mocked the very idea of a study group at Yusung. Our guy was completely outmatched, left defenseless and bruised on the ground. Just when all seemed lost, our boy Gammon stepped in. His calm presence shifted the entire tension. Instead of engaging with the bullies, he coolly invited the beaten recruit to the study room, catching everyone off guard. Gammon's coaching was nothing short of eccentric. He introduced a technique called the dragon kick, dead serious about the training. He even used the local wildlife to illustrate the explosive power needed, making for a bizarre but effective drill. Beyond the drills, Gammon became an emotional anchor. As the kid opened up about his history of being bullied for his weakness, Gammon offered genuine reassurance. He wasn't weak, just a diamond in the rough waiting to be polished. With a new purpose, the real grind began. Gammon, playing the role of a strict mentor, forced him to drop the fists and focus entirely on legwork. It was a brutal cycle of collapse and repetition, but our boy's mentorship was pushing him further than ever. Our boy isn't fazed by his opponent's constant taunts. He's proving with pure strength that this kind of resistance is futile. Even with someone in the background shrieking about the police, it's clear nothing is going to stop him from finishing this. In that moment, our boy channels the energy of an action hero. He knows that to protect his own, he needs sheer, unyielding power. With a burst of intensity that feels almost mythical, he delivers a final kick that brings the whole chaotic fight to an end. His opponent crashes hard into the rocks, losing all will to fight. It wasn't just a physical blow, it completely shifted the momentum, finally bringing some silence back to this noisy stretch of highway. But it's not over yet. An unexpected guest arrives. Teacher Lee is actually on the scene. Looking at the stunned expressions on the students' faces, it's clear that her sudden appearance has completely thrown them off their game. Meanwhile, back in the car, the crew is still buzzing about the chase. But the mood shifts instantly when the dashboard lights up with an incoming call. It's Teacher Lee, and nobody saw it coming. They're still in the middle of joking around and teasing our boy, but the second the line connects, the reality of the situation wipes the smiles right off their faces. Oh, looks like they've officially stepped in it. On the highway, tension peaks. Suddenly, the thugs who were just unconscious for 5 minutes are stunned by the situation. How did things change so drastically? One of them stares at the blood on his hands, completely unable to process the reality. What breaks their spirit even more is that their ace fighter lost to a mere 17th ranked nobody. Seeing their comrade down on the ground, the remaining thugs get desperate and angry, already plotting cruel ways to make him pay. Just as tensions rise, an overwhelming pressure descends. Before they can react, something crashes down like a meteor. With a deafening boom, the ground shatters, leaving the arrogant villain stunned in their tracks. It turns out Gunyab Park has arrived. In a smooth, effortless display of power, he takes down the thugs and stands over them with a helmet in hand. His calm demeanor, after such a brutal fight, leaves his companion completely awestruck. With the trouble taken care of, the mood lightens. They trade information, their main concern being the safety of their teacher, Ms. Lee. A quick chat reveals she headed to the Board of Education today, which explains why she's been missing from school. Facing a sudden transfer notice, Gammon's homeroom teacher, Mr. Lee, knits his brows. The note in his hand feels like bad news. His gut tells him something is brewing, and the situation at school is taking a dangerous turn. Meanwhile, a tense meeting is underway at a coffee shop. Mr. Lee sits across from Gammon's mother. The atmosphere is heavy. It's clear Gammon has kept much of the school's reality from her, and her worried gaze speaks to a parent's deepest anxieties. Faced with a resolute demand to transfer Gammon away from this violent environment, Mr. Lee tries to explain his side. He understands a mother's concern, but as his teacher, he has his own reasons for standing his ground. The air in the room grows heavy. Mr. Lee stares directly at her, his voice unwavering. Even if he faces criticism, he isn't taking back his words. This is about more than just Gammon, it's about his responsibility and dignity as a teacher. Finally, emotions boil over. Frustrated by this cowardly attempt to just sweep things under the rug, Mr. Lee hits his limit. He can't understand why, in the face of such violence, the adults are choosing to retreat. He makes his stance clear. He didn't give up everything to come here just to stand by. His goal is to change this school for the better. This isn't an impulsive decision, it's the resolve of a true mentor. Just as their argument reaches its peak, Gammon's friends receive new information. With the situation shifting constantly, it seems everyone is being pulled into the heart of the coming storm. The rumors were all wrong, the teacher hadn't given up on our boy. As everyone gathered at the cafe, the atmosphere grew heavy with the tension of an approaching storm. Meanwhile, investigations behind the scenes were heating up. Though it all started as an attempt to stop our boy from transferring, an uneasy feeling lingered, signaling that a much bigger chaos was brewing. Facing these dirty tactics to smear and dismantle their group, the students weren't going to just take it. The white lead gang, lurking in the shadows, was ready to drag everything out into the light. Back on the streets, a fight breaks out. Our boy's crew wasn't about to let those arrogant thugs push them around. With a roar, the clash began in an instant. They thought they could easily handle the three of them, but then Hazian High's top dog, Winsu Park, stepped up. One heavy hit was all it took to send their arrogant opponents crashing down. Facing such overwhelming power, the thugs realized they were way out of their depth. This wasn't a fight, it was a total wipeout. Nobody expected the tide to turn this quickly. As night fell, the conflict spanning across Incheon School seemed to be spiraling out of control. What exactly is driving these kids into such a complex, dangerous web? The silver-haired antagonist is locked in a twisted monologue about forging his own path. But his path is really just about using brutality to dominate others. To him, this isn't just training, it's about giving his future pawns a brutal taste of what's to come. This wasn't just talk. The scene cuts to a group of students left broken and defeated, the direct casualties of his domination strategy. He believes that by etching the trauma of being overpowered into them, he can turn them into submissive tools. Meanwhile, he plots with his cohort. There's a major complication. Teacher Lee has escalated her investigation into the Django-O incident to the Board of Education. If an official inquiry hits, their web of corruption might finally unravel. Faced with this threat, he reveals his sinister side. He corners the school administrator, using evidence of embezzlement as leverage to silence him. With that handled, their target becomes clear: Teacher Lee and our boy Gammon, who's right in the crosshairs. Before anyone realizes it, the trap snaps shut. The study group is suddenly swarmed by strangers. They claim they were sent by Wonsu, and it's obvious they're looking for trouble. The tension hits a breaking point as the group stands their ground against these invaders. The shadows are gathering as a group of uninvited guests steps into the spotlight. They've got their sights set on Ms. Lee, and it's clear they aren't here for a friendly chat. Ms. Lee keeps her cool, sipping her drink, but the peace is short-lived. A sudden, violent crash shatters the calm as furniture is flipped and total chaos erupts. The ringleader, Tae Hwanin, makes his presence known, a street punk who thinks he owns the place. He's here to give advice, but it's really just a display of pure intimidation. Even while cornered, Ms. Lee remains composed, picking up on the twisted malice in their eyes. These guys aren't just here to cause trouble, they've got something far more dangerous in mind. The impact turns the scene into a living nightmare, filled with screams and chaos. Meanwhile, our allies are tearing through the city streets, racing against time to get there. The roar of the motorcycle cuts through the night. They have to get there before these thugs cross a line they can never come back from. When they finally arrive, the scene is devastating. The cafe is a ruin, and victims are left huddled in fear amidst the wreckage. Ambulances and sirens converge on the scene, but the situation is already out of control. And in the shadows, the true power behind this chaos is watching it all unfold. The air is heavy with tension as they survey the damage. This senseless outbreak of violence has kicked off something bigger, and the real fight is only just beginning. The scene cuts back to the aftermath of the conflict, where chaos and anxiety hang heavy in the air. The victims are clearly traumatized, while the perpetrators coldly dismiss their actions as a mere warning, crossing lines without a second thought. It's not just the students. These thugs are now brazenly threatening the teachers as well. Even when cornered in the hallway, Ms. Lee refuses to back down, standing firm against their mockery and intimidation. Seeing the gravity of the situation, the weight of it all finally settles on Ms. Lee. She realizes the bullying is far more twisted than she imagined, but instead of breaking her, it only hardens her resolve. The scene shifts to a calmer time. Ms. Lee and her friend are sharing a meal, laughing over old, embarrassing photos. It's a moment of rare, precious normalcy amidst the current crisis. But when the conversation turns to the notorious Yusung Technical High, her gaze steals once more. They may call her crazy, and the rumors may be endless, but she is determined to turn that school around. It's her duty as a teacher. A seemingly casual catch-up, but the air is thick with tension. As Lee Hankyong talks, that chilling "just like me" drops like a bombshell, turning the atmosphere heavy with unspoken history. The conversation soon shifts to Gammon. When asked about his tutoring gig, the hesitation in the air says that all what should have been a light meal is now overshadowed by worry. As they dig deeper, a heartbreaking truth emerges. Gammon's mother was a woman who sacrificed everything for the truth. That tragic incident leaves everyone silent, adding a heavy weight to her legacy. The solemn moment is shattered by an unexpected provocation. When some thugs start acting out, our mystery woman snaps back, shutting them down with a single, devastating move that leaves everyone stunned. That's when it clicks. This gentle auntie is anything but ordinary. She drops the reveal she's Gammon's mom, the director of the Korean Taekwondo Association. Talk about an epic power move. Seeing Lee Hankyong's surprise, Gammon's mother remains poised. Even as old acquaintances, she's now solely focused on protecting her son. That final mention of Younghwa turns all the tension into a soft, bittersweet sigh. The thugs think they have the upper hand, even stooping to threats against family. They clearly haven't realized that these seemingly mild-mannered students have been pushed to their breaking point. Tensions skyrocket. The quiet atmosphere shatters under the thugs' relentless taunts. But these guys have no clue that their bullying tactics are about to backfire. Things take a dark turn when the thugs threaten a friend's family. Jaiwoo, usually reserved, drops the act. Her cold gaze and aura reveal the judo master hidden beneath. No one expected this student, who just wants to get into college, to strike back so decisively. She shuts down the provocations with a clean, brutal kick that leaves the thug reeling. As Jaiwoo unleashes her judo skills, the tide turns completely. Seeing their friend hold her ground, our boy and the rest of the group finally regain the courage to fight back. The flow of the fight is in their hands now. With Jaiwoo leading the charge, the teammates who were once paralyzed by fear finally wake up. They're done running, and they're ready to win. Chaos erupts in the classroom as the situation spirals out of control. Our boy tries his best to protect his study group, but the violence is escalating faster than anyone anticipated. Seeing his friends targeted, our boy's anger flares up. He knows exactly what they mean to him. These are the precious bonds he's fighting tooth and nail to protect. The conflict fully erupts as the opponents turn up the heat. Even the toughest among them are being pushed to their absolute limits by this relentless assault. With the situation turning critical, a call for help becomes their only lifeline. But in this chaos, even dialing for the police feels like a desperate struggle against time. The violence escalates as metal strikes, glass shatters, and fear spreads through the classroom. This place, once meant for study, has become a battlefield where they must risk it all. The call connects, but it's too late to hide the carnage. As the frantic voice on the other end speaks, the blood dripping to the floor marks a grim reality. They're running out of time. The situation is critical. A witness trembles while calling for help, reporting that glass shards have caused severe head injuries. Everyone is on edge, desperately hoping for a miracle. Meanwhile, the thugs aren't backing down. They were twisted grins. They discuss the victim being rushed to the ER with cold indifference, already targeting our boy as if this is just another game. Tensions skyrocket. Out on the streets, what started as a simple confrontation spirals out of control because our boy refuses to let them get away. He stares coldly at the thugs, completely unfazed by their provocations. The thugs are clearly triggered by our boy's relentless pursuit. When they bark at him to back off, he doesn't waste words. He just lays them out with a heavy blow. That's the real definition of dominance. The fight doesn't end there. It just makes the antagonist even more unhinged. As they keep running their mouths, our boy maintains a chilling calm, even finding time to warn them about the consequences of disrespecting their upperclassmen. Back at school, everyone is frantic looking for Ms. Lee. It turns out she's off meeting a parent right when things are peaking. Between the panic at school and the distant sirens, a storm is clearly brewing. The gray-haired man finally gets it. Our boy isn't just messing around. He's carrying out his mother's legacy to fix this school, attempting to bring change in the most just way possible. He's not wavering, even with the immense pressure and threats. In his eyes, as long as the current powers that be remain at the school, true change is impossible. Suddenly, a guy with sunglasses blocks the path. This is Sanjin, a total powerhouse obsessed with weightlifting. With muscles like that, he's a walking weapon, and it looks like a tough fight is inevitable. Sanjin clearly doesn't think much of our guy, mocking his lack of size and strength. The pressure of facing such a mountain of a man is suffocating, but there's not a hint of retreat in our boy's eyes. The fight kicks off. Despite being overpowered and taking a few hits to the face, our boy keeps his cool. Just when the situation looks dire, his gaze sharpens, and he prepares to strike back. Seeing the aggressive assault, our boy avoids a direct clash, choosing to dodge instead. He spots his opening and unleashes a hidden move the way of the dragon. That move catches everyone by surprise. The kick is precise and powerful, forcing the once arrogant Sanjin to stumble back. All that talk of overwhelming power crumbles against pure technique. The tables have officially turned. With a brutal impact, our boy's kick lands clean, taking his opponent down. He's winded from the effort, but there's no time to catch his breath. His eyes stay locked on the threat, ready for whatever happens next. Just then, Park Gun-yeop rushes in, completely stunned by the scene of chaos before him. Seizing the moment, the gang tries to force their way through, leading to a desperate, life-or-death struggle right by the vehicle. Caught in close quarters, our boy doesn't retreat. Instead, he fights back from the top of the car. But a screeching tire and a violent crash send everything spiraling out of control. When the dust settles, the aftermath hits him with a heavy, bitter reality. The next day, the school buzzes with talk of yesterday's clash. It's all anyone can focus on. As rumors spread and friends notice others are missing, our boy can't help but feel a lingering sense of unease. Just when things seem to settle, a mysterious figure in a hoodie steps onto the scene. Our boy doesn't even get a chance to react before the stranger launches a surprise attack, sending him flying in an instant. The air is heavy with tension, and the standoff between them has pushed the atmosphere to its breaking point. This unsettling calm suggests the storm is far from over. Unlike the tension elsewhere, Hamble Pie starts his day with chilling composure. Checking the weather report and adjusting his tie with precision, he seems completely unbothered by the chaos brewing around him. Back at school, a group of students huddle together in hushed, anxious whispers. The word hospitalized is clearly a taboo, and their shared sense of guilt and dread hangs heavy over the morning. As the conversation deepens, so does their unease. Meanwhile, on the rooftop, the class leaders have gathered. With Hamble Pie's arrival, it's clear they're about to discuss the shifting power dynamics of the grade. Just when things get serious, the mood takes a hilarious turn. This tough-looking guy, with his scars and gold chains, is actually sitting on the grass, struggling with English flashcards. The contrast between his intimidating look and his academic struggle is just priceless. A few lackeys were busy bragging about their connection to Hamble and their bright future. Suddenly, the door burst open, and our boy stormed out, launching a fierce surprise attack before they could even react. The villains were caught completely off guard. Their expressions of pure shock made it clear they never expected him to actually show up on his own. After a brief skirmish, conflict became inevitable. Though they talked tough, the fear in their eyes when mentioning Hamble revealed just how dangerous it is to cross him in this school. Facing obstacle after obstacle, our boy remained resolute. Even when surrounded by those with shady backgrounds, he didn't back down, choosing to meet them head-on with an explosive display of combat skills. The fight ignited instantly. Our boy took control of the exchange with his superior combat reflexes. The enemy tried to pressure him, hinting that he couldn't touch Hamble, but that only fueled his resolve further. So this was Hamble's shield, not just gangs outside, but also the student council members acting as his minions inside. Facing the blockade before him, our boy knew one thing: to reach Hamble, he'd have to clear them all out. Branded a monster by the local bullies, our boy finds himself cornered by their constant provocations. Yet, instead of backing down, his usually calm gaze hardens into a chilling resolve. These so-called elites treat the chaos at Yusung High like a playground, and they're about to find out they picked the wrong target. As the tension spikes, the background of Yusung's 3 presidents comes to light. They aren't just outnumbering him, they're sending their heavy hitters to crush his spirit once and for all. But our guy isn't the same passive kid anymore. He squares up, locks eyes with them, and calmly tells them to bring it on. The blonde brawler, brimming with arrogance, waves his allies off. He wants to deal with this cocky junior personally. The atmosphere in the yard turns razor sharp. The stage is set, and the showdown is about to begin. The fight is imminent. Our boy drops into a low stance, fists clenched, ready to absorb the first strike. The blonde challenger, sneering with pure arrogance, claims he'll finish this in one hit. Watching this display, our boy says nothing, his eyes growing colder by the second. Faced with such blatant disrespect, our boy doesn't waste a single word. The air feels heavy, thick with the scent of an impending clash. The opponent clearly has no idea what kind of explosive power he's about to unleash. Facing such blatant provocation, these punks clearly don't realize how much trouble they're in. They're still laughing, thinking this is just another one-sided bullying game. But that's when it happens. Combat breaks out. Our boy has no intention of holding back. He realizes these so-called gangster shields are just roadblocks, and if he can't go around them, he'll just have to knock them all down. In just one round, the tide turns instantly. Facing the opponent's pressure, our boy unleashes an overwhelming fighting force. The villains don't just fail to gain an advantage, they get trampled like weeds. In this moment, any scrap of gangster dignity vanishes. With every bone-crunching impact, the guys who were just trash-talking are reduced to groans of pain. Like a roaring tiger, our boy's strength completely dominates the scene. Seeing his goons falling one by one, the lead villain stops laughing. He'd heard of Gammon before, but seeing him single-handedly take down this crew is way more shocking than he ever imagined. Meanwhile, the observers watching from the shadows are processing this unexpected turn of events. Even surrounded by threats, our boy remains unstoppable. It seems an even bigger storm is brewing. Facing this trio, the onlookers were anything but optimistic. They knew these guys had once stood their ground against a gang enforcement leader years ago. To the crowd, it felt like these three were just kids trying to play hero against a legendary beast. But the reality of their combat was far more terrifying than the rumors. Their tactics were suffocating. Once one struck, the other two would instantly seal off every escape route. They functioned like a machine. When one landed a blow, the others made sure the opponent had absolutely no room to breathe. Even a veteran fighter found their defenses crumbling under such relentless, seamless combos. As the thuds echoed, the damage stacked up not just physically, but as a total psychological collapse for the opponent. By the end of it, the opponent was completely broken. These thugs finally realized it wasn't just talk. What this trio was capable of was a genuine nightmare. Their dominance made it clear. Anyone who crossed them would deeply regret it. Just then, an awkward tension filled the air. It turns out, being shaken wasn't just fear, it was literally having their heart beat so fast their brain just shut down. And just as you'd expect a serious tactical breakdown, the mood totally shifted as they started arguing about a neighbor complaining about noise. Their train of thought is truly something else. Watching his friend link this intense battle to some neighborhood auntie was hilarious. You'd think they'd be talking about high-level combat tactics, but clearly, these guys are operating on a completely different wavelength. Facing these relentless opponents, our boy falls deep into thought. That crushing sense of helplessness, of being pinned down and unable to fight back, it's not just anger. It's a wake-up call that sparks a hidden fire within him. Just when they thought he was finished, our boy gets back on his feet. Facing these self-proclaimed top-tier bullies, his eyes are ice-cold. He's not scared, he's analyzing. He even scoffs at their forbidden tactics, completely unimpressed. The battle ignites. Provoked by Gammon, the villains are furious. They think their numbers guarantee a win, but they have no idea that our boy isn't playing around anymore. He's aiming to end this fight right here, right now. The tide turns in a heartbeat. Our boy is moving with precision, giving them no room to breathe. Through a flurry of lightning-fast strikes, he dismantles their formation, hitting them with such force that these arrogant bullies are finally reeling. As the fight drags on, the opponents realize something is off. This isn't just street brawling. Gammon's movements have the distinct, lethal rhythm of Jeet Kune Do. Seeing him gain momentum, the villains finally start to feel a flicker of true fear. While others thought the outcome was decided, our boy managed to keep a cool head. The blonde guy, however, is still completely distracted, fumbling with his flashcards while his brain struggles to keep up. Seeing his chance, our boy lands a solid punch before his opponent can react. The others quickly jump in, and in a split second, they're all locked in a chaotic brawl. This is no ordinary scuffle, it's the intensity of the tiger fists. Caught off guard at first, our boy doesn't panic, relying on his lightning-fast reflexes to parry the incoming strikes. It's become a battle of pure grit. Even as our boy slides to evade, his opponent presses the attack. With that confident look on his face, the blonde guy seems convinced that victory is already in his pocket. Just as the fight reaches a deadlock, the school bell rings. The distraction slows his opponent just enough, and our boy seizes the opening, slamming into him with a brutal grapple. It turns out his opponent took a hit to the eyes during the scuffle. The sharp pain is immediate, sending the blonde guy crashing to the ground and effectively putting him out of commission. Our boy doesn't hold back, following up immediately while his opponent is still reeling in pain. It was a tough fight, but looking at his opponent's defeated state, it's clear who's actually in control now. At the climax of the fight, our boy knows he has to clear his head. By cutting off all useless emotions, he locks onto his goal, ready to take control. He's done holding back. Fighting fire with fire, our boy shows no mercy against his opponent's dirty tactics. From eye pokes to throat strikes, he utilizes a brutal, unconventional arsenal that leaves his enemy completely overwhelmed. The pace heats up, and just when the opponent tries to rally, he realizes he's no match for our boy. With a finishing move, the dragon kick, the fight is effectively over, leaving the enemy broken and defeated. With the fight finished, our boy catches his breath, only to spot a notebook left behind on the ground. Curiosity piqued, he's interrupted by a sudden phone call from an unknown overseas number. The silence of victory is shattered by the call. The voice on the other end leaves him stunned. Could it really be his father? The school, usually calm, is buzzing with uneasy whispers about our boy's absence. His friends are worried, not yet realizing that this delay is the start of a nightmare he couldn't have anticipated. Just then, the phone rings. It's his father calling with devastating news. His mother is in the hospital after a serious accident. Standing there on the lawn, our boy feels a crushing sense of helplessness and a simmering anger like never before. Back at school, the sight of torn-up study group posters tells him everything he needs to know. A peaceful school life is a pipe dream. Meanwhile, at the hospital, his mother's condition is critical. The consequences of this war are no longer abstract. Seeing the aftermath, Sian is consumed by guilt, blaming herself for the petition that started it all. Watching her fall apart, our boy's heart breaks, but he knows wallowing in pain won't fix anything. Flashbacks of the endless violence haunt him. Our boy just wanted to study, yet he's been dragged into this chaos. Looking at the rot around him, his resolve hardens. If they want to drag him into the mud, he's going to shatter this entire system. Facing the school's corruption, our boy is seething with anger. He grips his fists tight, fighting the urge to lash out. He knows better than to be reckless right now. He desperately wants justice for his mother, but reality is cruel. With gangs and corrupt teachers in league, they're tightening a net around him. If he attacks now, he'll fall right into their trap, becoming the perpetrator instead of the victim. Thinking of his mother's suffering, the pain is almost unbearable. The rage gnaws at him. Even without concrete evidence, and with danger lurking everywhere, he must keep his cool. Suddenly, the school assembly announcement blares. Summoned unexpectedly, he reluctantly heads toward the auditorium with the crowd. Little does he know, a conspiracy is waiting for him at this very assembly. Having finally reached his limit with the school's relentless corruption, our boy Gammon snaps. A confrontation erupts in the hallway as Gammon grabs his target by the collar, his sheer intensity leaving everyone else frozen in shock. Caught off guard by Gammon's sudden retaliation, the bully's arrogance shatters in an instant. Before his cronies can even react, Gammon lands a heavy, decisive blow, sending him straight to the floor without giving them a chance to whine. The fight doesn't pause for a second. Gammon is relentless. He's on top of his opponent, landing punch after punch with cold, precise power. It's an absolute beatdown, no questions asked. As the bully who usually owns this school gets slammed into the ground like trash, the surrounding students are left speechless. They stare at Gammon, faces twisted in disbelief. They can't believe this is the same guy. Gammon isn't done yet. He locks his grip onto the guy's throat, his eyes cold as ice, practically screaming to everyone watching that authority means nothing when you're facing real strength. Pinned down and helpless, the bully can only take it. Gammon leans in, a touch of mockery in his voice, as if to say, "How's that? Doesn't feel good to be on the receiving end, does it? You're just a normal person who feels pain, just like everyone else." The conflict escalates instantly. Enemies are looking to get Gammon expelled, plotting to exploit the teacher's office and use the incident as leverage for their own agenda. The turmoil didn't end in the office. Word of the fight spread like wildfire, with rumors about Gammon's clash becoming the hottest topic across the entire school. A school-wide assembly was called, forcing everyone into the auditorium. Despite the serious setting, hushed whispers filled the air as students speculated about the troublemaker's fate. Just as tensions rose, a mysterious man with white hair took the stage. Wearing a composed smile, he addressed the crowd, immediately setting a strange, ominous tone. The man played it cool, but his words were sharp. He publicly questioned if anyone wanted to be a gangster, hinting at bad seeds in the school, a clear, calculated provocation. The principal starts playing dirty. He's spinning a narrative, blaming the school's reputation and looming inspections on the students and staff. By putting Ms. Lee on the spot, he's trying to corner her and make her look incompetent in front of everyone. Ms. Lee takes the mic, but the words won't come. The pressure is suffocating, and with the crowd growing restless, the principal's trap is working perfectly. The auditorium is spiraling into chaos, and she's struggling to hold her ground. Just as things are about to hit rock bottom, someone decides he's had enough of the noise. Our boy, Gammon, cuts through the crowd. He's not here to argue. He's here to take the stage. Even with the chaos around him, he remains unfazed. When Gammon finally steps up, the crowd goes quiet. The shock on everyone's faces says that all teachers and students alike are stunned. Nobody expected him to show up here, especially not after being told to stay put. Under the spotlight, Gammon doesn't look like a student cornered by bullies anymore. With a cool, sharp smirk, he commands the room. The chaos pauses, and in that silence, it's clear, he's here to flip the script and tell the truth. Accompanying an inner monologue about anger and change, the scene shifts to the school podium. Our boy stands firm, delivering a bold declaration to transform the entire school, sending the audience into an immediate state of shock. The crowd erupts in confusion and whispers, but our boy remains unfazed, calmly adjusting his glasses. He knows exactly how much his words are rattling the cages of the local bullies. Meanwhile, the local bullies are having a total meltdown. Once arrogant, they're now paralyzed by the fear of being cast out, deeply anxious about the power shift our boy is forcing upon them. Panic causes their facade to crumble. Their fragile brotherhood breaks under the weight of a looming crisis, leading them to turn on each other in a desperate, pathetic display of blame. Watching them spiral, our boy sees right through their act. Instead of wasting energy on a fight, he cuts straight to their insecurities with words that shatter their pathetic pride. As the shockwaves of the school conflict linger, the blonde delinquent seems trapped in his own painful thoughts. Meanwhile, our boy Gammon stands in the classroom, brow furrowed. The trouble caused by this incident is far more complex than he imagined. The entire school is suffocated by tension. While Gammon's study group has become the talk of the school, trying to find a peaceful place to study in such a violent dump is easier said than done. For that blonde delinquent, the word study is a complete joke. He stares at the scribbled-out flyer with disdain, clearly unable to fathom why anyone would try to start a study group in a place like this. The scene shifts to the hospital. The grandfather, though bedridden and gravely ill, is shockingly stern. Even here, he pushes his grandson to hit the books. His only dying wish is to see the boy succeed. It turns out the old man studies for exams even at his age, just to set an example for his grandson. To him, studying is the only way for a person to gain any real value. His grandfather's condition seems to be improving, but the crushing weight of medical bills falls squarely on the boy's shoulders. Staring at his frail relative, he has to keep holding on, gritting his teeth for that thin sliver of hope. Our boy just showed up, and the thugs in front of him are clearly stunned. The scarred blonde didn't expect to run into Gammon here, and as a coin drops into the can with a clink, the tension in the air instantly ignites. From his injured companion, Gammon pieces together the truth. The string of tragedies was all the work of Hamill's gang. Looking at Gammon's cold expression, it's clear he's already settling the score in his head. Just then, things take a turn for the worse. Their injured companion, battered and desperate, can only rasp out a warning, "Hide." The Grim Reapers have tracked them all the way to the hospital. The warning barely escapes his lips when the crisis hits. The bullies appear, and they aren't here for a friendly chat. They're closing in on Gammon with clear, hostile intent. Rewinding to the school auditorium earlier, Gammon ignored everyone's doubts and stood firmly at the podium, declaring his intention to purge the school of corruption. That level of audacity was truly mind-boggling for these thugs. Faced with Gammon's declaration, these guys clearly haven't realized the severity of the situation. Instead, they're baffled and annoyed by this meddlesome high schooler. Back in the hospital corridor, the atmosphere is ready to explode. Faced with these aggressive thugs, our boy doesn't back down. He steps in front of his injured friend, ready to meet their lesson with his own. Schoolyard conflicts are always sudden. The blonde guy shoves our bespectacled student back, only for his accomplice to play it off with fake apologies. It's the same old power trip we've seen too many times. Left behind in the aftermath, the bespectacled student is clearly rattled, so much so that he leaves his phone on the bench. When he returns, it lights up with a call from Grandpa. It turns out he spends his spare time tutoring an elderly man at the hospital. Despite the grandpa's struggle with his studies, our guy offers nothing but patient encouragement, a stark contrast to the bullies at school. The grandpa is briefly crushed by his test results, but that discouragement doesn't last long. He quickly pivots, cheering that he'll get 5 right tomorrow, a contagious optimism that genuinely moves his tutor. Our boy was feeling conflicted about the purpose of studying, but the old man offered a unique perspective. To him, studying is just like learning to ride a bike. Back in the day, hard at first, but the freedom and achievement that come with mastery are truly rewarding. The old man compares grinding through exam questions to riding a bike. Those difficult questions eventually reveal their patterns with enough practice. Finding that flow, turning impossible into manageable, is just as addictive as learning to ride. Seeing the genuine joy on the old man's face really touched our boy. It wasn't the usual chore of studying for exams. It was a pure love for knowledge, giving Gammon a completely new perspective. It's a small world. The old man realized our boy is actually his grandson Sunchal's underclassman. He earnestly asked Gammon to help Sunchal if they ever cross paths, hoping to pass on that same joy of learning. After saying goodbye, Gammon barely had time to process the conversation before someone called his name. Before he knew it, his friends swarmed him, looking both worried and furious. It seems his recent stunt really gave them a scare. The atmosphere shifts instantly as an officer drops a bombshell, a brutal murder near Incheon Port. Everyone's stunned as they realize who the primary suspect is. The suspect is identified as Kim Sunchal, a third-year student at their own school. It turns out he's a pawn for the infamous White Lead gang, raising terrifying questions about what's really happening. The officer reveals his true motive. With the police force completely compromised, he has no one else to turn to but them. He's looking for allies in a place where trust is a luxury. Meanwhile, Kim Sunchal seems to have made his choice, stepping deep into the gang's world. He's ready to become the star of the army's upcoming assembly, unaware of the trap closing in. Back with our group, the officer drops an insane proposal. He wants them to infiltrate the gang. Naturally, everyone is furious as he's out of his mind to suggest such a dangerous game. The officer knows this is a desperate, suicidal plan, but he's out of options. As the weight of the danger settles in, they're forced to confront the grim reality of what comes next. Facing the crew's questions, our boy finally spills the beans. He's pushing this hard because time is ticking. Once his mom is out of the hospital, she's forcing him to transfer. He's determined to clean up this school before that happens. But it's worse than it looks. The school isn't just full of thugs. There's a whole army selection system. Violence has become the only way to climb the ladder here, which explains why the place is in total chaos. Now they get it, our boy isn't just messing around. He's aiming to root out the whole system. The sheer scale of his plan is enough to leave everyone shocked. Back in his memories, we see his mom in the hospital. Despite her injuries, she knows there's no stopping him. She reluctantly accepts his resolve, letting him do what he must, at least for now. Back in the present, before our boy can try to shoulder it all alone, his allies step up. If there's a fight to be had, they're in. Seeing them stand by him, the tension finally lifts, and the real mission begins. To infiltrate the enemy, our boy and his crew have teamed up. It's surreal watching these students pretend to be delinquents, but if they want the intel, they have to commit to the act, no matter how awkward it feels. They track down the rehab duo, former enemies turned informants. While they preach that people can change, they're still rough around the edges, but more importantly, they have the scoop on the army organization. The opening they needed. Rumor has it the army is holding a secret assembly. To get inside, the crew plays the part, strolling into the pool hall to fish for information about the Lotus Festival under the guise of outsiders. The bait is taken, and the targets don't suspect a thing, spilling the location of the meeting. The delinquent act was nerve-wracking, but it paid off with the intel they needed. Back in the car, the mission is on track. But as the others celebrate, someone raises a doubt. Is Kim Sunchal really the mastermind? He doesn't strike them as a villain, but as they say, looks can be deceiving. They'll need real proof. The alley is thick with tension. Even though the evidence points to the suspect, our guy and his companion aren't buying it. They're determined to see real justice served. Facing skepticism, the opponent gets aggressive, even using his grandfather as leverage. That was the last straw, and the standoff instantly erupts into a brutal brawl. After being slammed down, The guy on the ground gasps out that it's all a setup, that the suspect is innocent. Our guy watches the scene unfold, his eyes sharp, as if he's already pieced the real puzzle together. Hearing the villain spew his twisted lies, our guy finally hits his limit. The mask of calm drops, and his expression turns icy. If they want to play dirty, he's ready to show them how it's done. Back to the day, our guy readies himself, his gaze sharper than ever after last night's encounter. Meanwhile, his friend is totally in his own world, trying to show off a treasure, but the sudden intrusion of reality makes the room go dead silent. The story kicks off with a tense standoff. Sitting in the shadows, the silver-haired guy's words imply he's ready to corner our boy, leaving the atmosphere heavy with tension. Meanwhile, chaos erupts at school. Facing waves of doubt and mockery, teacher Lee Hankyong takes the stand, and her declaration to fight for the school hits like a bombshell, silencing everyone. That outburst was so powerful it stunned the troublemakers. Teacher Lee didn't back down. Her resolute gaze seemed to say, as long as there's one student who wants to learn, she's not giving up. Despite her powerful stance, Teacher Lee carries a heavy heart. She genuinely wants to protect these kids, and that sincerity starts to touch those around her. However, not everyone is moved. Elsewhere on campus, the teacher's actions become a target, and the thugs continue to press their agenda, aiming their aggression directly at her. Watching from the shadows, the silver-haired guy smirks. He realizes Teacher Lee shares the same convictions as his old mentor to him. The show is just getting started. Our boy doesn't care for the gang's hollow threats. But the tension is broken by an unexpected phone call. It seems the kids brainwashed by the gang are finally starting to wake up, thanks to our guy's intervention. It turns out the gang has been using minors as shields, exploiting juvenile laws. They lure these kids in with the promise of status, only to frame them for crimes and strip them of everything they have. Watching the victim break down in remorse, our boy finally gets the full picture. The membership was just a scam. The kid traded his dignity and everything he owned for a lie. Seeing the bullies push too far, the desperate kid finally begs our boy for help. And our guy? He doesn't waste time. With a single, explosive strike, he floors the guy, proving that sometimes, you just have to hit back hard. Despite being battered and bruised, our boy's eyes burn with determination. Every punch he throws is more than just a counterattack, it's a vow to protect his friends no matter the cost. The battle settles, and 3 days pass in a blink. Our guy and his crew are now geared up, ready to step into the lion's den to uncover the secrets hidden behind the corruption. To clear Sunchul's name, the group concocts a wild plan: infiltrate the enemy's stronghold and expose the truth right when they think they've already won. However, the place is crawling with gang members and dangerous fighters. Can our boy and his friends really pull off this infiltration without tipping off the sharks circling them? Heart-pounding, they have to keep the act going. Facing those piercing stares at the entrance, our boy plays it cool, pretending to be just another ordinary student. That's when trouble strikes. The enemy starts getting suspicious, and a single cold question makes the air turn icy. It looks like our boy's cover might be wearing thin. With their cover on the verge of blowing, his friends are sweating bullets. Our boy realizes that to make it out, he might have no choice but to settle this with his fists. The infiltration plan is underway as our group quietly sneaks into the building. Their mission is simple: retrieve the incriminating knife during the gang's meeting and wrap this up without a fight. According to their source, the gang leader hides out on the top floor and keeps the murder weapon nearby. It's their only leverage to clear their names. The plan was perfect: wait for him to head to the second floor, then strike. But just as the tension hits its peak, things take an unexpected turn. They were hoping to avoid a confrontation, but the gang suddenly appears in the hallway. Everyone freezes, their hearts skipping a beat. The thugs are coming out of their office ahead of schedule. They are on the verge of being spotted, and escaping unscathed now looks like a serious challenge. Caught in the chaos, the enemies haven't spotted our heroes yet, but one thug seems suspicious and turns back to investigate. The situation is hanging by a thread. The school hallway is suffocatingly tense. They thought it was just a routine check, but stumbling upon the villains mid-conspiracy changes everything. Our boy and his crew need to be extra careful now the enemy hasn't realized they're being watched. Meanwhile, Gamut is prowling through the shadows. Sensing something off, he pauses to listen, his heart tightening with concern for his friends. That faint, suspicious noise forces him to abandon stealth and make a dash for the fourth floor. In the hallway, a chilling conversation about a fall guy is unfolding. The villains discuss trading prison time for money and influence with sickening nonchalance. Watching the victim crumpled on the floor, the onlookers don't offer sympathy, they actually seem envious. The danger is escalating. As Gammon pushes deeper, the enemies aren't backing down, they're gathering. Seeing those familiar faces reappear, the tension hits a breaking point. A confrontation they can't avoid is finally about to explode. Facing the enemies head-on, Gammon's gaze hardens. The masks are off. With that chilling, "I've got him," the standoff is shattered. In this violent night, the real fight is finally underway. In a flash, the red-haired boy launches a surprise high kick, catching the enemy off guard. The guy in glasses is clearly shocked, but he realizes there's no turning back now, they have to fight their way through. Meanwhile, the guys in suits are watching closely from the shadows. They're confused by these intruders, their behavior is chaotic, and pretending to be military is clearly just a reckless front. As they watch, the suspicion only grows. These kids don't match any records, yet they're strutting around like they own the place. The gangsters start to wonder, what exactly are these guys planning? Back in the main fray, the group's infiltration is in full swing. As they breach the building's defenses level by level, the red-haired boy lands a heavy kick on an enemy, completely taking control of the rhythm of the fight. The standoff escalates as the opponents clash directly. The enemy recognizes our hot-headed friend and tries to taunt him with past failures. But our boy isn't having it, he fires back with a sharp comeback that shuts the enemy right up. He even hits the guy with a mocking insult, cranking the tension up to 11. But the real trouble is just beginning. This isn't just a random brawl. They're up against the infamous team from Bacon High. It was supposed to be a routine performance review, but the atmosphere in the room was suffocating. Watching everyone hold their breath, it was clear that the cost of failing this evaluation was far heavier than anyone expected. Just then, the operations head stepped up. With a cigarette lit and a cold gaze scanning the room, that baseball bat in his hand looked less like a prop and more like a tool for punishment. He wasn't interested in reports. He was just looking for a target. The unlucky kid from a high became the instant target. Just for ranking last, he was forced to endure unreasonable violence. Before he could even get a word out, the bat came swinging, sending him flying across the floor. Watching the kid struggle in agony, the others looked on in horror, too terrified to speak. It finally clicked for everyone. This guy wasn't here for a meeting, he was just here to indulge his sadistic streak, turning the room into his personal hunting ground. Just as the violence threatened to spiral out of control, someone stepped in to catch the bat. The sudden intervention brought everything to a tense standstill, hinting that even more chaos was brewing beneath the surface of this brutal encounter. Tensions boil over instantly. The standoff breaks as a red-haired brawler lands a decisive kick, sending his opponent flying and signaling a violent clash. Chaos erupts immediately. The injured blonde struggles to recover while fighting breaks out everywhere. Meanwhile, shadowy figures whisper, desperately trying to contain the spreading mess. Amidst the bedlam, a sharp-eyed woman storms in. She ignores the brawl entirely, solely focused on finding out if that Four Eyes is still on the rooftop. With a blade drawn, the hallway atmosphere turns suffocating. Both sides scramble for position, bracing themselves as an inevitable, brutal confrontation looms over them. A demand to surrender falls on deaf ears. With negotiations failing, the brawl spirals into an all-out, unmanageable clash where only fists speak. Just as the fight hits its stride, a textbook falls from the sky, catching everyone off guard. Who expects a physics lesson in the middle of a brawl? The culprit? Our boy, standing tall on the roof. He times his move perfectly, diving into the chaos and proving that the real fight is just beginning. Under the cover of night, our boy Gammon infiltrates the building, searching for evidence. As he tries to pry open a locked container, things get weird. It's clearly trapped, and someone seems to be watching his every move. Clutching that pink notebook, Gammon mulls over the exam secrets Ms. Lee taught him. Despite the obvious danger, he knows he can't just walk away, he has to figure out a way to get this evidence out. Back in the classroom, the teacher drones on about exam points, while most of the students are fast asleep. Looking at the scores in the notebook, Gammon finally realizes the truth. These exam secrets are just proof of the corruption behind their grades. Suddenly, Gammon's phone rings. It's a call from Ms. Lee. Caught off guard, he fumbles in his panic and accidentally drops the evidence he was hiding, completely blowing his cover. From the shadows, the enemy finally emerges. Seeing Gammon exposed and caught off guard, the antagonist flashes a sinister smile. They knew a rat would crawl, and eventually, a violent confrontation erupts on the rooftop. The enemy doesn't strike him down immediately. Instead, they snatch the pink notebook, holding it as evidence with a menacing threat. This isn't just a physical fight. It's the darkest moment in the struggle to expose this criminal organization. What's even more chilling is that Gammon realizes the power behind these thugs, the same people who brutally attacked him before, are all just pawns under this man's command. Seeing the fallen victim in a pool of blood, Gammon finally grasps the true depth of the evil behind this school bullying. With the blade drawn, the conspiracy deepens. They plan to crush our boy with sheer authority, dragging him into an abyss from which he can never escape. While some are losing their cool over a video game, violence erupts in the hallway. Without warning, a heavy blow lands, catching the victim completely off guard. The gray-haired man dominates the fight, effortlessly suppressing his opponent. No matter how hard the redhead tries to create distance, it's all futile against such raw power. Unable to land a single scratch, the redhead is toyed with. Despite his fury, he's helpless, eventually getting pinned to the floor and humiliated like trash. The fight is over. With the redhead crushed underfoot, stripped of all dignity, the gray-haired man towers over him, turning this brutal display into pure torment. Things have turned dire. The redhead is pinned down, threatened with a utility knife held right against his face. Even in this life-or-death moment, he refuses to spill the beans, stubbornly wondering if this guy is actually crazy enough to cut him. Faced with such harsh reality, the redhead's mind drifts back to recent events. Even cornered, he can't help but wonder, if Gammon can take down trained fighters with a single blow, how much more does he have to train to finally reach that level? Back at the study group, the redhead is spiraling over his stagnant test scores. That's when his friend shares a lesson about the boiling point. Change isn't always instant. Like heating water, the energy you pour in isn't immediately visible, but keep pushing, and you'll eventually hit the threshold for big changes. That realization clears the fear from his eyes, replaced by pure resolve. He finally understands. Instead of trembling under pressure, he needs to build up that inner heat. Confronting his assailant, he explodes into action. Today is the day he turns the tide. Our boy is in a tight spot. Despite the blood on his face, his gaze is sharper than ever. This bald thug is playing dirty, pulling a knife on him. Yet, instead of backing down, our boy is just getting warmed up for the counterattack. If he can't dodge it, he has to take it. Our boy bites through the pain and pushes forward. Spotting an opening, he strikes with a lightning-fast kick to the bald guy's head, sending the knife flying in a heartbeat. The tide turns in an instant. Our boy doesn't give him a second to breathe, following up with a relentless flurry of strikes. The sheer rhythm of his fighting style has the bald guy completely overwhelmed. But this guy is tough. He recovers the knife instantly, his eyes filled with a vicious intent to kill. With the blade back in play, the battle escalates. It's a brutal dance between bare fists and cold steel. Our boy tries to force a fair fight, calling him out for being a coward. But the thug just laughs at his naivety. He seizes the chance to kick him where it hurts most, making sure the pain is unbearable. The heavy hits take their toll, and our boy goes down. The bald guy isn't done though. He wants more than just a win, he wants intel. Despite the pressure, our boy stays silent, gritting his teeth through the pain. In the heat of the standoff, his mind wanders back to the past. The boy who used to get beaten up every day in middle school has finally evolved into a fighter. And this, he realizes, is only the beginning. The villain starts preaching his twisted logic. He used to think that pure grit and brute strength were enough to conquer everything, a belief that left him broken and nearly pushed him over the edge. In his eyes, fairness is just a fairy tale for the weak. He keeps drilling his cold survival rules into his opponent. As long as you crush the competition and come out on top, any means, no matter how dirty, is justified. But he severely underestimated his opponent's resolve. Just as he tries to assert his dominance again, a powerful counterattack erupts, not just a physical strike, but a direct rejection of his twisted worldview. Looking at someone fighting so hard for what's right, the villain sees a reflection of his former self. But while he chose to sink into darkness, the power of this resolve is only shining brighter. The confrontation intensifies into a brutal corridor brawl. As the battle reaches its boiling point, the villain's outdated philosophy of violence is being dismantled piece by piece. The unexpected counter-moves leave the villain completely bewildered. He's left wondering, is this what our boy taught him? Watching the peaceful school life in the distance, the true meaning of strength is starting to become clear. The fight has reached a boiling point, with both sides clearly ready to go down together. Every collision carries heavy, bone-crushing impact. Both fighters are at their absolute limits, and even in defeat, they refuse to yield. All that remains is a shattered phone, testament to the chaos. The red-haired fighter is immobile, left only with hope that his partner secured the evidence. A message pops up, Our boy Gammon is trapped on the rooftop, yet he's still urging his friend to escape with the evidence. Elsewhere, the chase continues. The woman with the eye patch is being hunted, forced to maneuver through the terrain to survive. It's not just a simple game of tag anymore, it's a high-stakes life-or-death struggle. The scene shifts back to the night streets, where the chaos hasn't ended. Minchel and Dachel are locked in a desperate brawl, emotions running high. They're arguing over the fillet knife, the murder weapon, and crucial evidence, terrified of failing their friend. The skirmish is coming to an end. The thugs who were just acting tough are now sprawled across the floor like broken puppets, completely neutralized. Just then, the officer steps in. Facing this horde of unruly kids, he's not holding back, deciding to teach them a harsh lesson with the heavy fist of an adult. Without any fancy moves, a single, solid punch lands squarely on the opponent's face. The sheer impact leaves him unconscious, collapsing to the ground without a chance to retaliate. The atmosphere turns heavy. Facing a formidable opponent, our boy steps up without hesitation. With the explosive power of the tiger's fist, they collide head-on, creating a deafening impact. Surprisingly, the lethal strike is blocked. The opponent is stunned, while our boy is caught in a moment of deep conflict. Confessing now means facing the law and potentially living in the shadows forever. In the end, our boy decides to take responsibility and comes clean. As the officer hauls away the main culprit, all that's left is the chaos and the others left behind to clean up the mess. A desperate chase unfolds under the night sky. To handle the lethal Grim Reapers and the looming threat of Jaesung, the allies realize they have no choice but to team up. They've pinpointed the real danger, Seonho Chai, the Grim Reaper. He's on a different level of lethal, and he's almost certainly the reason our boy Gammon has gone radio silent. Suddenly, a girl from Hyukchang appears, gripping a short club and refusing to back down. She's tough as nails, and her unexpected arrival makes the confrontation even more unpredictable. The fight kicks off instantly. Despite her resolve, she's up against a monster. He uses his sheer weight and superior technique to outmaneuver her, slamming her into the ground. Even after taking a brutal hit, she refuses to stay down. The villain, however, is clearly playing with his food, grinning as he mocks her attempts to resist. Then, the reveal. The electronic tag on his ankle proves he's not just a thug, he's a repeat offender. He taunts her, coldly bringing up a past victim, probing just how twisted he really is. Watching disgust turn into fear is simply delightful. The villain revels in his sadistic cruelty, leaving the girl shaken, but the confrontation is only just beginning. Under the oppressive night sky, a hidden secret seems to emerge with that falling figure. For the dead, silence is final, but for the living, the truth is often heavier than death. Sunchul has completely lost control. His hands are trembling with the blade, and his bottled-up rage erupts into a desperate roar, ready to throw his life away for a fight. Before he can even move, he's instantly subdued. With a dull thud, Sunchul is neutralized. Meanwhile, our boy watches from the shadows, his mind racing with worry. Seeing his friend dragged away, our usually calm guy can't help but panic. He wants to intervene, but the situation is so messy that he can't find an opening to act. Shifting to the streets, Sunchul reappears. It looks like he's walking straight into a trap, offering himself up to the police and trying to take the fall for everything. However, the man in black isn't so easily fooled. He toys with his lighter, his sharp instincts immediately picking up on the inconsistencies in Sunchul's confession. Under pressure, Sunchul finally slips up. The man points out the flaw. The wound was clean and precise, not the result of a blind, angry rage. This confession is full of holes. Sunchul is caught in a living nightmare, overwhelmed by both physical blows and immense psychological pressure. Desperate to protect others from the chaos, he breaks down and takes the blame for everything, hoping to stop the relentless torment. The abusers show no mercy, pinning Sunchul to the ground and raining down blows. They aren't just fighting him, they're trying to break him completely, berating him for his disappearance as the violence intensifies. Just when Sunchul thinks he's fighting for a future, his abusers drop the cruelest truth. His grandfather's condition hasn't been improving at all. The lie that kept him holding on is finally falling apart. It turns out the grandfather's vitality was never medical, it was sheer willpower. He's been studying tirelessly from his deathbed, hoping to support his grandson. The doctor, heartbroken, chose to lie to Sunchul to protect that fragile hope. Reality hits back harder. Before Sunchul can even process the grief, his tormentors reveal their true, cold intent. They're not just finished beating him, they're calling the police to ensure his life is completely ruined. The tables turn as the trap is exposed. With the realization that this was all a setup, chaos ensues, leaving some wounded and others enraged, as a deeper conspiracy begins to surface. A loud crash tears through the night, escalating the tension instantly. Before the dust settles, a key figure falls, leaving the battleground in total disarray. The enemies press their advantage, weapons drawn and ready. But just as things look dire, our boy arrives. He might be outnumbered, but the counterattack is just getting started. In the blink of an eye, the enemies who were just posturing are now scattered on the floor. The hallway that felt so imposing just moments ago now belongs entirely to our boy. The fight isn't over yet. Unfazed by the taunts, our boy unleashes his combat prowess, turning a desperate 2-on-1 situation into a fierce, balanced showdown. As the last enemy is slammed to the ground, the dust finally settles. This was more than just a brawl, it was a brutal reckoning for the dark truths hidden in their school. The villain shows zero mercy to his two victims, dragging them by their hair as if they were trash, while cold-bloodedly threatening to end them without a second thought. With a twisted sense of superiority, the villain thinks he's already won. He mocks the broken victims, unaware that cornered prey can be the most dangerous. Just when all hope seemed lost, our boy didn't give up. He found a pair of bolt cutters in the cabinet, and with a swift snip, the chains fell away, giving him the opening he desperately needed. Even at his breaking point, our boy holds his ground. Facing a weapon-wielding maniac, he may be exhausted, but his eyes burn with a defiance that refuses to back down. The fight escalates instantly. In the chaotic blur of combat, improvised weapons are the only thing keeping him in the game. Our boy is fighting tooth and nail to break the deadlock. Just when the tension hits a breaking point, a new challenger enters the fray. He steps in with a pair of nunchucks, looking completely unfazed. It's clear the real show is just starting. As the dust settles, the scene shifts to a car nearby. It seems the skirmish didn't go quite as planned for the mastermind. Gammon is long gone, leaving nothing but chaos behind. The spectators thought they could just sit back and watch, but the situation suddenly spirals out of control. With a sharp metal snap, the fight escalates instantly, pulling our boy into a high-speed collision before he can even react. Thinking back to the race here, everyone was worried about him. After all, the opponent's level is no joke. But since this whole mess involves his friends, our boy isn't about to just stand by and watch, no matter the danger. "Don't worry, I've got this." Our boy gives his friends a firm answer. Despite being battered and bruised, he looks at his stubborn opponent and can only wonder, what exactly is this guy so obsessed with? Suddenly, the opponent pulls out flashy weapons, swinging them wildly in an attempt to overwhelm our boy. But to him, this showy display is nothing more than a performance full of openings. Without wasting a word, our boy spots his moment, closes the distance, and launches an assault. As weapons clash with a harsh ring, this head-on collision pushes the fight to its absolute breaking point. Caught off guard by the relentless nunchaku assault, the opponents are left scrambling to defend themselves. In our boy's hands, the weapon comes alive, dancing with an unstoppable force that completely suppresses the opposition. Seeing their companions sprawled across the floor, the remaining guys are left in complete shock. They can't wrap their heads around how an ordinary student could inflict such absurd damage with just a pair of nunchucks. The fight isn't over yet, and our boy keeps the pressure on. Tired of the provocation, he stops holding back, aiming to end this chaos once and for all. Before the opponents can even blink, another wave of attacks crashes down. As the battle rages on, the wounded opponent cries out in pain, questioning the sheer power behind the hits. Then, in a shocking turn, our boy lands another blow so intense it actually bends the weapon itself. With one final, heavy strike, the opposition is completely incapacitated. Our boy stands firm, his eyes locked in the raw, desperate intensity he put into protecting his friends is enough to chill anyone watching. With the chaos settled, news of the battle reaches the gym. Rumors circulate about someone actually beating that legendary tough guy. Even the previously unimpressed gray-haired man can't help but let out an intriguing, complex smirk. The battle is about to explode. Facing an opponent once hailed as a monster, our boy doesn't back down for a second. He knows this guy is no pushover, but he's ready to test his strength in this high-stakes clash. The fight is on. The opponent is clearly a veteran, hitting hard and fast. But our boy has already clocked his rhythm, and at the critical moment, he decides to strike back head-on. The fight intensifies. The opponent's savage assault is relentless, even attempting to crush our boy with pure brute force. But even trapped, that fighting spirit, the one that awakens in desperate moments, lets our boy seize the perfect chance to counter. As the stalemate drags on, The villain's twisted excitement grows. It seems destroying his opponent is his only joy. But our boy's eyes remain locked, gathering every ounce of anger and strength into one final blow, determined to put an end to this struggle once and for all. With the villain's maniacal laughter filling the air, the situation spirals out of control. These thugs aren't just here to fight, they're forcing their victims to surrender. Seeing his friends down, our boy decides enough is enough. It's time to settle this. Our boy doesn't flinch against the arrogant opponent. Even as the villain brags about his superior training and pulls out nunchucks, it's clear to our guy that this amateur's technique is riddled with holes. In this moment, our boy's natural fighting instincts kick into high gear. He stays perfectly calm while the opponent rages, effortlessly dodging and toying with him until the attacker's initial arrogance dissolves into pure dread. This isn't a fair fight. It's a complete dismantling. The opponent, now totally rattled and hysterical, tries one desperate counterattack, only for our boy to exploit the inherent weakness of the nunchucks. The moment they get caught, they turn from a weapon into a trap. As our boy shifts into that signature 1-inch punch stance, the very air seems to freeze. The opponent finally realizes exactly what kind of monster he's up against. Judging by that look of pure terror, the real payoff of this beatdown is only just beginning. Following the master's lesson, our boy finally grasps the essence of the 1-inch punch. He channels all his strength into a single point, unleashing a devastating strike that hits from the inside out in the blink of an eye. The fight ends, the opponent is down, and our boy stands tall, as calm as if he'd just done something mundane. Looking down at the thug, he shows no pity, only cold, blunt advice. If you aren't going to study, at least get out of the way. Facing skepticism, our boy remains firm. Even in this chaotic school, where everyone mocks the value of education, he sticks to his guns. That stubborn gaze of his makes it clear, he won't let anyone get to him. Deep into the night, the streets feel thick with the stench of violence. The defeated thugs whisper in terror, wondering how our boy managed to crush every tough opponent they threw at him. His sheer dominance is enough to make anyone doubt he's just a normal student. Meanwhile, our boy has already moved on from the brawl, even reminding the student he saved to focus on midterms. The sudden change of pace leaves the guy stunned. Is he really serious about studying right now? Before they can even catch a breath, it happens. A desperate thug lunges out with a knife. It's a life or death moment, and though our boy is ready, the sheer brutality of a cornered animal makes the situation escalate instantly. The street fight has reached a boiling point. Despite the brutal tactics and the overwhelming odds, our boy refuses to back down. The air is thick with the scent of blood and raw threats. This is no longer just a physical brawl, but a test of sheer willpower. As the chaos clears, we see it's Jawo Lee from Yusung High who's under fire. Even while battered and mocked for his height and status, the defiance in his eyes never wavers. This stubborn nosiness of his only seems to infuriate his attackers even more. The thugs simply can't grasp why the student would put his life on the line for someone else. To them, this is just the price of being nosy. They escalate the situation with blades, determined to break his spirit with cold, hard violence. So, this is what they call childish chivalry. Even pinned down and covered in wounds, he refuses to abandon his friends. To the cold-blooded thugs, this persistence is a joke, but for him, it's a line he refuses to cross, no matter the cost. Just as the dust begins to settle on the brawl, the real threat emerges from the shadows. New, unexpected faces arrive on the scene under the cover of night, looking over the carnage as if it's just another cleanup job left unfinished. The storm hasn't passed, and crises are everywhere. Faced with murder accusations and the ensuing chaos, our boy stands in the eye of the storm, his eyes sharp as he calculates his next move against this sudden predicament. As night falls, the situation grows more complex. A man in glasses appears, his words filled with probes. Our boy instantly senses the malice, and the air grows thick with tension, ready to explode at any second. The atmosphere freezes the moment that familiar textbook appears. Before our boy can even catch his breath, he's dragged into the mystery of the Incheon Port murder case, while the detective eyes him with open hostility. This isn't a coincidence, it's a setup. Tired of the aggressive posturing, our boy stops holding back. If they want trouble, he'll give it to them. An inevitable street confrontation is about to erupt. Facing skepticism, our boy doesn't back down. He refutes the absurd logic of using minors as tools, and this unexpected confrontation only hardens his resolve to expose the truth. Just then, Gammon zeroes in on the crucial lead. The puppet master is none other than Song Wong Chu from the construction company. No time to waste, he strikes decisively. It's time these scum learn that karma is very real. The thunderous blow lands instantly. Gammon strikes like lightning, hitting the mark perfectly. No matter how tough the opponent, he's thrown into disarray by Gammon's perfectly timed counter. Just as his opponent tries to bark threats, Gammon delivers a swift, precise chop to the neck. The fight ends in a flash, leaving the enemy collapsed and the bystander in utter shock. Before the dust even settles, the phone rings. It's the construction company trying to reclaim control. But Gammon isn't fazed. As he answers, he's ready to unravel the greedy conspiracy behind it all. Everyone is caught off guard. It's clear the opposition had this planned all along, right down to the taser. Seeing his friend cornered, our boy is desperate, but the situation is spiraling into something far more dangerous than they anticipated. At that moment, to protect his friend, Kim Cheol has to face the heat head-on. Watching him backed into a corner, his raw anger is palpable. Even under fire, he refuses to back down, fighting with everything he's got to turn the tables. But the opposition plays dirty. A calculated taser shot leaves Kim Cheol helpless, writhing in pain. His agonizing screams are enough to break anyone's heart. As the conflict escalates, they hit the red line, the police. Getting dragged to the station now would change everything, potentially ruining their last chance. Even as he collapses, Kim Cheol holds onto his fading consciousness, refusing to give up. When the dust finally settles, the scene is a mess. Kim Cheol is badly hurt, needing an ambulance, but they've managed to avoid the worst-case scenario. With the authorities finally on the scene, it looks like this long, grueling night is finally drawing to a close. Our boy was worried sick about Ms. Lee's constant calls, so he rushed over. Imagine his surprise when he barely steps in, and she's already waiting for him to talk about an awkward reunion. As it turns out, Ms. Lee had been stuck at the hospital recovering from a mission injury, which explains the radio silence. At least she's out of immediate danger now. Meanwhile, Sahin is busy handling those recovered bankbooks. It's surreal seeing those intimidating upperclassmen so invested in the task. The contrast is honestly a bit confusing. Our boy heads to the hospital to confirm she's okay. It's a huge relief to see her recovering, even if her way of showing she's fine is just as goofy as ever. Since Ms. Lee still needs recovery time, our boy is basically grounded at her place for the time being, under her strict supervision for the upcoming exams. But supervision is just a cover. Ms. Lee is clearly suspicious about where our boy was yesterday. Caught in her crosshairs, he can only play dumb and hope to survive the interrogation. It's the dead of night, and our boy is still burning the midnight oil. He's dissecting his textbooks, trying to apply the secrets Ms. Lee shared with him, determined not to let any details slip before the exam. On the other side, Gammon is working to clear Sunchal's name, seeking police help to secure key evidence. Even when urged to leave the heavy lifting to the adults, our boy's relentless determination makes it clear he's not backing down. When asked about his dreams, our boy remains unfazed by the skepticism around him. His answer is simple but firm. He just wants to get into college. It might not sound grand to some, but it's the honest goal he's chasing. Back at his desk, Ms. Lee stops by to check on Gammon's progress. Seeing how diligently he's taken notes, she can't help but reminisce about the peaceful tutoring sessions they used to have, bringing a rare moment of warmth to the room. However, the deeper conversation about dreams leaves Gammon feeling lost. He's focused entirely on getting into college, but is that really a dream? Seeing his struggle, it's clear he still needs a bit more guidance on finding his true path. Ms. Lee steps in with some wisdom, comparing a career to a plate for one's ideals. It's a profound metaphor, though the actual plate she's holding seems to have met a disastrous, smoky and talk about a lesson to remember. Just as the teacher and student discuss their ideals, the scene shifts. There's someone in the shadows watching, dissecting these kids who are struggling for their futures, adding a subtle, unsettling tension to the air. Ms. Lee serves a meal while talking about dreams. She reminds Gammon that a dream isn't just a final destination. If he wants to be a student, he should focus on what kind of student he wants to be. Her words really hit home. Memories flood back the suffocating pressure of reporters and flashing lights. Clinging to his grades, Gammon realizes he never truly stopped to consider which path he really wants to follow. Back at the table, Gammon contemplates. He realizes it's not just about the college. He wants to be the kind of teacher who guides others. Seeing him finally get it, Ms. Lee lightens the mood with some playful encouragement. After cleaning up, it's back to business. With midterms approaching, our boy sheds the sentimental mood. He's determined to lock in and study hard, showing a newfound mental strength that they both need right now. Plans are set for the study group. Meanwhile, in the hospital, things are heavy. This fight wasn't just about winning, it was about purging the school of everything that kept them from studying in peace. Rumors are spreading fast about the mysterious guy sweeping up the remaining gang members. When the name Park Gunyub comes up, Gammon can't help but feel a lingering tension, the memories of that brutal fight still fresh in his mind. As night fades, a new day begins. Our boy is focused, whether it's the struggles at the hospital or the trial in the classroom. He's ready to give it his all for his goals. Meanwhile, shadows move in the background. The golden-haired man seems busy with his own plans, and behind the calm facade of school life, there's an unsettling sense of approaching danger. Inside the classroom, the final 10-minute countdown for the midterms is underway. The questions seem manageable to most, but at this stage, even the experts are staying sharp. The classroom is silent, save for the scratching of pens. Some students are confident, while others are sweating bullets. In this suffocating quiet, the exam finally comes to an end. The bell rings, and the classroom erupts into chaos. Students gather to compare answers, arguing over the results. Our boy was confident at first, but now he's starting to second-guess himself. Elsewhere, a plot is brewing. Someone is on the phone discussing Chinatown and Sivan Chun, clearly eyeing our boy with ulterior motives. Beneath the surface, the waters are getting rough. With the exams finished, the conversation shifts back to that badass who withstood a stun gun. They rush out to catch up because, more than exam scores, the real story is just getting started. A desperate race against time is underway. Our boy is sprinting toward the exam venue like a man possessed, leaving his friends struggling to keep up, completely stunned by his relentless, superhuman drive. Meanwhile, the situation at the hospital takes a turn for the worse. With the old man on his deathbed, the attendants are frantic, trying to shield our protagonist from the devastating news while he's focused on the exam, but the despair is already thick in the air. Elsewhere, the streets are descending into chaos. Amidst the violence, a blonde fighter completely snaps. Ignoring the thugs surrounding him, he channels his pure rage into one single goal: to reach the old man, no matter the cost. The thugs clearly underestimated the kid's resolve. Facing their taunts and blockades, the blonde fighter exudes a beast-like pressure. This isn't just a street brawl anymore. It's a one-sided campaign of vengeance. Inside the hospital room, the old man's condition is critical. The ventilator beeps incessantly as death draws near. The others are panicked, wondering where our guy is, but in this race against time, every second is pure agony. And what about our guy? He's entirely focused on the exam. Even as the test begins, his eyes are sharp, reflecting the pen tip. But deep down, there's such a heavy, quiet regret he just wanted to walk out of that exam hall with his head held high. Then, the unexpected happens. Caught off guard by the sudden turn of events, everyone is left stunned, and the bitterness of missing that final farewell finally boils over. Our boy is on his knees, battered and bloodied, but his rage is still burning white-hot. He's struggling with the physical toll of his injuries, frustrated that he couldn't take those punks down sooner. Meanwhile, the hospital atmosphere is suffocatingly tense. The red-haired guy is desperate to keep things quiet. When our boy bursts in, bruised and seething, the others are terrified, but there's a serious reason for their silence. They're protecting someone taking a crucial exam inside. Our boy doesn't care about the rules anymore. He storms down the hallway like a beast on a mission. He clears the way with brute force, slamming anyone in his path against the wall, all while frantically calling out for his grandfather. Inside the room, the grandfather is barely holding on, yet he's still focused on his paper. Thanks to our boy and his teacher, they pulled strings to get him this chance to take his final exam. Even in his condition, the old man is fighting to show that it's never too late to learn. To make this happen, our boy's teacher risked everything, even breaking protocols to get the materials. Outside the room, everyone is on high alert, guarding the door. This isn't just an exam, it's a final stand for dignity and a lifelong dream. Seeing his grandfather giving his absolute last ounce of strength to finish the paper, our boy finally breaks down. The memory of his grandfather saying, "Learning isn't a chore, it's a joy," hits him hard. He realizes now that the real victory here has nothing to do with fists. The old man finished his last exam, but he also finished his time in this world. Standing before the altar, our boy is shattered, yet he stands tall. This was his grandfather's final lesson, a quiet, dignified exit that hits harder than any battle. The teacher once smiled in a photo, urging someone to show Sunchal the joy of studying. But looking at these guys trembling in fear, it's clear that lesson hasn't even started yet, and things have already spiraled out of control. 2 months have passed since that confrontation. Inside an abandoned warehouse, a heated interrogation explodes. Facing the pressure, our boy stands his ground with cold, sharp eyes, clearly ready to hit back. This isn't a power struggle or a gang war. It's a storm of revenge our boy is brewing. He's determined to make those who stole something precious feel the true depth of his pain. Rewinding to a month after midterms. An investigator, desperate to solve a random murder case and clear his suspicions, finally corners a mysterious hooded figure. The guy clearly mistook our boy for some common thug and started acting tough. But as he thought he had the upper hand, he didn't realize he'd picked the absolute worst person to mess with. The guy tried to suppress our boy with a simple counterattack, cockily claiming he'd seen through every movement. Too bad, his expert technique is nothing but child's play compared to true insight. Since the guy insisted on making a move, our boy decided to play along. The moment the opponent tried a left-handed counter, our boy showed terrifying reflexes. He's going to counter the counter. The ambush is brutally precise, with the hooded figure effortlessly dominating the opponent. The technical counterattack is so fast the victim can barely process what hit them. With the fight finished, the hooded figure coldly searches the scene for leads. Meanwhile, the victim is left struggling to catch their breath in the aftermath. As the imposter's identity is stripped away, the secrets regarding Do Hyun, the mole embedded in the student council, finally come to light. The school is buzzing with shock over that #1 ranking. Meanwhile, the intelligence gathering has hit a wall, making every step of the investigation a challenge. To hunt down the anti-group, they need to target deeper connections. Unfortunately, the potential leads that fit the criteria are still painfully scarce. It's time to turn up the heat on Manhwa. They decide to approach him, hoping to leverage his past sense of justice to break the stalemate. As for our boy Gammon, he's caught in an awkward spot. Despite his talent, the way everyone reacts to his top-rank status is honestly a bit overwhelming for him. The conversation between the administrator and our guy starts off suspiciously. Just when the administrator questions why he's cleaning, our boy flips the script. "Do you really enjoy acting like a dog for your student?" The administrator is stunned by the insult, but the silver-haired guy was ready for this. He immediately grabs the administrator by the collar, dragging him down. The tense standoff explodes into a one-sided beatdown. As he pins the administrator down, the silver-haired guy reveals the ugly truth buried for a year. Teacher O's death was ignored by these spineless faculty members to protect their own positions. And shockingly, it all traces back to our guy's own mother. Hearing this, our guy completely loses it. His mother was betrayed and left alone in her final moments. Watching the terrified administrator on the ground, his bottled-up rage finally boils over into a storm of vengeance. With the urgent ring of the phone, the operation to crack the key info kicks off. Everyone knows the stakes. It's time to take down the wild card, Manhwa. The fight erupts, and Manhwa immediately showcases his bizarre combat style. He unleashes a barrage of fire at the tough Kong Sen-song. This isn't a drill, it's a brutal, one-sided beatdown. Kong Sen-song clearly underestimated his opponent. Manhwa plays with him like a cat with a mouse, unleashing a flurry of attacks that leave him defenseless and bleeding. Watching the carnage, Manhwa even uses custom bullets to maximize the pain. The onlookers finally realize the truth. This guy is a complete lunatic, using BB guns to pull off actual gun fu. A dark conversation unfolds in the dead of night. Looking at the scandalous photos on the screen, the group is stunned. These thugs actually profit by exploiting the privacy of bullying victims. Turning someone else's trauma into a playground for profit is truly despicable. As the truth peels back, they realize just how twisted this Manhwa really is. He doesn't just hold leverage over bullies. He treats their secrets like commodities, fanning the flames of conflict just to get a kick out of the chaos. To root out this cancer in the school, the team gathers for a final briefing. Even with the trap looming ahead, they need to understand their enemy's true nature. After all, in an environment this cutthroat, passion alone won't keep you alive. The man dubbed the devil, Manhwa, is no pushover. He's a master of manipulation, knowing exactly how to crush victims just as they see a glimmer of hope, like a predator playing with its prey. It sends a chill down everyone's spine. Just as tensions peak, the nature of this secret meeting shifts. The moment a gun is pulled and pressed against a forehead, everyone realizes this wasn't a negotiation, it was a setup. At the top of this brutal school hierarchy, all those transactions eventually turn into a loaded gun pointed right at you. Facing this sudden ambush, our guy doesn't panic. In fact, he's wearing a smirk. He clearly saw this coming. With a deafening crash, the dust kicks up, leaving his opponent stunned and the surrounding structure in ruins. Just as everyone is processing the sight of their comrade buried under rubble, another sound echoes from above. The construction site has turned into a deadly trap, and the situation is spiraling out of control with every passing second. The pressure is mounting. Their opponent is desperate, prowling the construction maze to flush our boy out. Amidst the cranes and heavy scaffolding, these building materials have become the ultimate weapons in their brutal game. The tables have turned completely. Everything in this place, as it turns out, was part of our boy's setup. With a roar, the building starts to give way, sending the pursuers into pure, panicked chaos. Elsewhere, in the restroom, the air is thick with tension. One confronts the other about his futile struggle, pointing out that this obsession is pointless. In a world defined by violence, such self-torture only leads to more pain. The standoff hits its peak as guns are pointed directly at each other, freezing time itself. Meanwhile, back at the school under the cover of night, the teacher is just wrapping up grades, completely unaware of the storm brewing in the shadows. The atmosphere in the office is tense, with everyone gossiping about the recent string of bad luck. Then, Gunyip Park's background comes to light. He's actually the son of an inspector from the Incheon Board of Education. This revelation instantly changes the tone of the conversation, adding a layer of unsettling tension. As the pieces fall into place, they realize that the elusive Noah they've been hearing about is actually Gunyip Park. This sudden connection catches everyone off guard, and a sinking sense of dread starts to settle in. The scene shifts, and the air turns hostile immediately. Confronted by the mysterious masked man, the guy in the striped shirt doesn't back down. In fact, he starts taunting him. Facing off at such close range, the animosity between them is palpable. A fight is clearly inevitable. The fight breaks out instantly. The striped shirt guy is not only ruthless, but keeps prodding the masked man with insults to push him over the edge. Waving his weapons around with a smug grin, he's clearly trying to bait his opponent into losing focus. Predictably, the provocation works. Driven by blind rage, the masked man charges in recklessly, playing right into his opponent's hands. Facing the striped shirt guy's underhanded tactics, he fails to land a clean hit, and instead gets pushed onto the defensive. Watching the masked man lose his cool and get led around by the nose, even the onlookers feel the tension. It's clear that this fight has escalated beyond simple combat skills. It's become a brutal battle of emotional endurance. The earring-wearing antagonist starts his taunting, confident that his opponent relies solely on brute force rather than skill. Facing the antagonist's wild taunts and threats, our boy remains cool and vigilant behind the mask. He's unbothered, knowing it's time to make the other guy pay. The fight erupts. The construction site turns into their personal arena, with the structure groaning under the impact and scaffolding debris flying everywhere. As the antagonist relentlessly pursues him with a weapon, our boy displays incredible agility. Even when cornered, he stays calm, hunting for an opening. Just as the antagonist thinks he has the upper hand, even resorting to more dangerous attacks, the tide turns. Our boy seizes the moment and delivers a crushing kick, sending him flying into the wall. Scrambling back up, the antagonist chases our boy toward the rooftop, thinking he's cornered his prey. He has no idea this is actually a trap set by our boy. With a massive clash of metal, the construction site spirals into chaos. The scaffolding collapses, signaling the climactic end of this desperate struggle. The stairwell is completely blocked, tightening the tension instantly. Watching his opponent struggle in the chaos, our boy keeps a cold, sharp gaze. This isn't just a fight, it's a calculated hunt. The mechanical device shatters under pressure. This move wasn't just to disarm him, but to isolate him completely. Even a top-tier gang fighter can't help but retreat in fear when facing a trap laid out a year in advance. The fight erupts in a flash. Our boy moves with precision, landing every blow where it hurts most. The opponent's prideful techniques crumble before such overwhelming pressure. This suffocating pace leaves no room to breathe. Looking down from above, the once arrogant opponent is now in shambles. A Yusung High jacket lies on the ground, a remnant of Gammon's long-suppressed past. He's been hiding his true strength for an entire year, just for this moment. Rewinding a bit, a seemingly ordinary bare-knuckle boxing video becomes the spark for this conflict. As the new bout begins, our boy doesn't even flinch at the enemy's desperate assault. His monster-like physical stats and combat instincts leave his opponent in pure despair. If he hadn't blocked that punch with a gun, but just in time, the end would have been sealed. Feeling the lethal force behind that blow, the opponent finally realizes he's bitten off more than he can chew. The intensity spikes. Faced with heavy, precise punches, our boy feels the crushing pressure. This is more than just a fight. It's a desperate struggle for survival. Just as things reach a breaking point, a jet roars overhead. Memories of his relentless pursuit for combat skills and survival instinct fuel our boy's resolve. There's no turning back now. This lesson on the upright fist proves that bare-knuckle fighting isn't just raw power, it's the key to breaking defenses and turning the tide. With one final, thunderous blow, the opponent collapses. Cornered and defeated, he finally realizes that the boy standing before him is far more dangerous than he ever imagined. Our boy demands the truth and clues about the murder case. Meanwhile, from the shadows, the mastermind watches in disbelief. The prey they thought they controlled is quickly becoming the hunter. Chaos erupts on the rooftop, with blades drawn and firearms in play. Amidst the tension fueled by Manhwa's crew, everyone is scrambling for an opening to survive. The fight shifts into a high-stakes mind game. By focusing on his opponent's weakness and baiting the attack, he effectively turns this brawl into his own stage. Despite the opponent's ferocious lunge, our fighter keeps his cool. He knows exactly where the opening lies and delivers a crushing blow, swinging the momentum entirely. The punch lands with calculated precision. Yet, amidst the raw violence of the collision, there's an unexpected moment of lingering regret that catches everyone off guard. With that heavy blow, the battle swings decisively. The opponent is left reeling, while behind the scenes, someone else seems to be crumbling under the weight of it all. As the dust settles, a dominant force steps in to pin the struggle to a halt. This elaborate scheme against Manhwa is far more brutal than it first appeared. Following a bone-jarring impact, the tension peaks with a dramatic flare. Our boy has just delivered a punishing blow, sending his overconfident opponent flying through the air and crashing hard to the ground. The standoff is electric. Though the opponent tries to lash out with a desperate, shaky attempt at defiance, it's nothing compared to the tiger-like resolve in our boy's eyes. This clash, rooted in the grit of the school underground, has clearly reached its breaking point. Shifting gears to a more absurd scene, the office door is kicked open. Two teachers are arguing over the odd merchandise for their rehab project. It turns out this reform effort involves printing cringy slogans on hoodies, turning the serious disciplinary office into something unexpectedly hilarious. Unable to stomach the nonsense anymore, one teacher snaps and smacks his colleague with a pen. They debate whether this youth rehab project is anything more than a delusion. Can adults really force kids to change their ways? Deep down, they both know the answer isn't promising. Just as the teachers doubt the plan, our boy steps in. Despite his bruised face, his eyes are locked in focus. "I came here to change myself." The teachers are stunned. To them, change isn't that simple, but this battered kid seems to be walking a path they never thought possible. Staring at his phone, our boy falls into deep thought. Can a simple mantra, like "we can do it," really wash away the violent past and the brutal nights in Chinatown? Even amidst the rubble of a construction site, the path ahead remains treacherous, but as long as the drive to improve burns within, he'll keep leaping toward the future. The rooftop showdown descends into chaos. Just when the fight seemed decided, this powerful guy in dark clothes crashes in, making the already dire situation completely unpredictable. Facing this sudden disruption, the blonde guy clashes head-on with the newcomer. The guy in black looks ruthless, seemingly in total control, while our blonde friend, despite his wounds, remains sharp and refuses to back down. And then, things escalate. The guy in black unleashes a thunderous kick, with all the intensity of a tiger lunging from the woods enough to crack the ground. Our guy is reeling, taking the full force of the impact and rolling back, feeling like he's got broken ribs. Even while he's struggling, the relentless pressure keeps mounting. It's suffocating, but for our battle-hardened hero, this isn't just pain, it's a trial he has to survive. The guy watching from the sidelines has completely lost it. He's livid seeing the fight drag on, consumed by frustration. But just as he's hitting rock bottom, a dropped phone suddenly lights up with a call coming in from ANTI. The rooftop brawl rages on. Things are looking grim for our boy, as the brutal onslaught leaves them scrambling, barely even getting a chance to call for help. Facing an overwhelming opponent, our guy doesn't just take a beating, he has to listen to the trash talk. They clearly think Gammon is nothing more than someone else's puppet. The onslaught is relentless. The enemy's close in, unleashing twisted techniques that seem designed to crush our boy once and for all. Just as our guy is pinned down, the real villain finally steps into the light. He looks down at these struggling kids with nothing but pure, cold contempt. In the aftermath of the clash, the crew starts to realize something terrifying. Gammon isn't just some transfer student. He might actually be the biggest threat on the board. One moment, they were locked in a fierce fight. The next, our boy and his ally are down. They're paralyzed and confused what exactly just happened to them in that blink of an eye. The truth is finally revealed. And it's devastating. They weren't taken down by brute force, but by a secret style of Chinatown Kung Fu. It's an unorthodox, overwhelming power that completely shatters their defenses. But the real gut punch? The opponent didn't even see them as a threat. There was no grand conspiracy. They weren't even worth his energy. That deep, hollow helplessness is worse than any physical pain. Despite the scars, our boy isn't giving up. Looking at the mess left behind, the faces of those who suffered for this revenge haunt him. For their sake, even at rock bottom, he has to keep moving forward. Facing past failures, our boy actually settles down. If the old ways didn't work, he'll just have to start from scratch. He reignites his resolve, ready to do whatever it takes to reach his goal. Seeing our boy's scarred hands, his friends are genuinely shaken. They just wanted him to stop fighting alone, but they never expected him to go this far just to protect everyone. As night falls, we flash back to the aftermath of the exams. Our boy's results are in 199th out of 220. It might not sound like much, but for Gammon, this is a massive victory from where he started. His study group friends are genuinely proud. Even if he's far from being top of the class, they saw how hard he worked. Nobody expected this fighting prodigy to put that same intensity into his exams. Just as things settle down, news of a new transfer student hits the hallways, and the mood shifts instantly. Everyone's whispering about who this new arrival is in a school this volatile. Any change is bad news. The real shocker? Our boy tied for first place in something, or at least that's the rumor spreading. It's causing a total earthquake at school, leaving everyone who underestimated him completely stunned. The exam was just the beginning. The real plan was brewing in the teacher's office. Thanks to his teacher's guidance, Gammon finally hit his stride. Now, the teacher is ready to move against Humble Pie and finally clean up the school. But it's not that simple. To take down the school's bad apples, they need approval from the higher-ups. The teacher has been doing the legwork, but they're still missing that crucial final signature. Looking at the teacher's worried face, it seems the real trouble is just getting started. With their study group hanging in the balance, Gammon's friends are desperate. They pin their hopes on the legendary student council president, Sivan Chun, believing that if they can just get him on their side, everything might turn around. Driven by hope, they rush to find Sivan. But when they swing open the doors, they aren't met with a student leader. Instead, they find a scene of total devastation, as if a one-sided slaughter just took place. It turns out, this wasn't just a simple scuffle. Sivan is ruthless. He's already made quick work of anyone who came before, and as for Gammon, he's waiting, ready to show our boy what real combat is all about. As night falls, we shift to a hidden spot in Chinatown. The atmosphere is suffocating. Several so-called fighters lie defeated on the floor, failing to even touch a hair on the head of the man in the robe. This man, Ma Chunduk, is clearly unimpressed. To him, these so-called warriors are just hopeless losers. He's not just looking for true strength. He seems ready to personally step in and whip these wastes into shape. The mysterious boss flashes a briefcase full of cash, claiming it's just a token of appreciation. He even thanks the other side for their help with his son. But behind this polite facade, what's he really plotting? The boss brings up a memory from 7 years ago, back when he led the White Lead gang. The conversation circles back to one figure, Sivan Chun, the genius, who dismantled grown gangsters like they were nothing. The flashback is brutal. A student in uniform unleashes explosive power, dropping his opponent in an instant. The raw force leaves everyone shaken who knew such violent, top-tier martial arts were hiding in this quiet school. While the onlookers are stunned, the boss remains cold. He explains that for the gang to compete globally, they need real killer kung fu, not the flashy, fake stuff you see in movies. To craft the perfect troublemaker, the boss adopted him and poured resources into his training. Looking at his defeated underlings, the boss shows no pity, only cold, arrogant pride in his masterpiece. As the boss marvels at the kid's heightened senses, we cut back to the present. Our boy steps up, his tone dripping with mockery. "I heard you like studying. In that case, let's have a little study session, just you and me." The tension is palpable. Our boy and Sivan stand frozen, neither making the first move. The onlookers are getting restless after 15 minutes of suffocating silence. It feels like these two have synced their very heartbeats. Meanwhile, a sudden phone call cuts through the tension. Someone is checking in on our boy, casually discussing his midterm grades. In this high-stakes moment, such mundane reality feels incredibly out of place. The onlookers finally realize what's happening. This isn't just hesitation. It's a high-level chess game. Every muscle twitch and shift in gaze is a calculated probe, testing the other for a fatal opening. Just as everyone thinks the standoff will last forever, the tension snaps. With a sudden, explosive motion that shatters the air, our boy and his rival collide. The real battle has finally begun. The tension is at a breaking point. Everyone is fixated on the scene, not just watching the brawl, but waiting to see if their boss can actually pull off a win. Meanwhile, chaos has broken out at school. Everyone is frantically looking for our boy, Gammon. It turns out his test results are in, and that sudden update is only adding to the already heated atmosphere. The fight on the lawn intensifies, but Gammon is unfazed. He's effortlessly blending combat with his own life philosophy, treating the brawl like an academic lecture that's both bizarre and terrifying for his opponents. The situation spirals out of control. Seeing his friends get hurt lights a fire in Gammon. He's done holding back. He's not just fighting for himself anymore, but to protect everyone behind him. Back in the classroom, the mood shifts. First place in class is written on the board. Gammon's new goal. His peers cheer him on, believing he can actually pull off this impossible dream. Back to the brawl, the climax arrives. Gammon lands a clean, heavy kick squarely on his target. Sivan goes down, leaving the onlookers stunned. Our boy has officially taken control of the fight. The heat is on. Our boy Gammon is facing a real monster here. Not only is the opponent incredibly tough, but he's dropping threats even while taking hits. It's got Gammon questioning just what kind of freak of nature is he up against. Before the guy can even process the shock, Gammon strikes back. That hit looked simple enough, but it landed with the weight of true mastery. This is the real deal, straight from the Tiger Fist training. Gammon is completely dominating the pace. He's moving like a precision fighting machine, predicting every move and tanking hits just to counterattack. He isn't giving his opponent an inch to breathe. Here it comes, the final strike. With a single, explosive burst of energy, Gammon floors him. That kind of pain? Gammon knows it all too well. He lived through that same agony while mastering the technique under his master's brutal training. Turns out, this obsession comes from a desperate hunger to survive and rise above. As he was taught, only by becoming the big boss at the top can you stop people from looking down on you. Carrying that conviction, Gammon is closing in on the summit. Facing a tough opponent, our boy's drive kicks in. He has to be the strongest. There's no room for defeat. Gammon unleashes his master's forbidden technique. The strike is blindingly fast, shattering his opponent's defenses and leaving everyone stunned. But away from the fight, his test scores are a disaster. Our boy can dominate a brawl, but clearly, the classroom is a much tougher battlefield. Back to the fight, his opponent is left reeling, finally realizing there's a terrifying gap between them. This defeat is going to haunt him. With his rival gone, the dust finally settles after a couple of days. The chaos fades, but the weight of his overwhelming strength remains clear to everyone. The red marks on the exam paper say it all. Our boy is hitting a wall. He's gripping his pen so hard the ink is spilling, struggling with the crushing feeling that no matter how hard he tries, he's stuck in the same place. He checks on Sivan, only to find him in a much worse state. Sivan hasn't eaten in 2 days, huddled in a dark corner, and spiraling. It's clear he's reached his breaking point. Just as our boy tries to pull himself together, a text from his teacher reminds him to focus. But then, he hears a disturbance outside. He takes a peek, and to his shock, it's Sunchul. What is he doing here? One look at that dark, scarred face, and our boy's heart sinks. Seeing someone like him show up right now, it's a bad omen, and it's clear trouble is following him. Meanwhile, out in the shadows, a group of suspicious individuals is gathering. Rumors about Chinatown are swirling, and as the motorcycles roar by, you can feel the tension. A storm is definitely brewing. Back at school, the office is just as chaotic. The staff is stuck in a loop of bureaucratic red tape, arguing over the procedures to remove the student council president, using the rules as a shield for their own agendas. The debate over Sunchul Kim's fate is getting heated. The administration seems determined to scrub their reputation clean, leading to intense arguments among the faculty about how to handle the scandal. In this suffocating environment, those who refuse to play along become targets. Ms. Lee is backed into a corner, with superiors threatening her job and demanding she stay quiet if she knows what's good for her. Intel suggests that Hamel Pai's backing is far more complex than imagined. With his father a big shot in the white lead gang pouring money into the foundation, taking him down seems nearly impossible. The discussion stalls as everyone recalls a time when someone single-handedly cornered Hamel Pai. With Sivan Chun's prolonged absence, the teachers shift their focus toward the mysterious Chinatown. Despite the danger, the teachers don't back down. After confirming Sivan Chun's potential hideout in Chinatown, an investigation into the shadows officially begins. Meanwhile, the student reconnaissance team moves in to ensure safety. With a drone in the air and the red-haired teen fully equipped, they're playing the part of professional operatives. Engine roaring, the investigation team races toward Chinatown. But as soon as they start asking about Sivan Chun, the locals immediately turn hostile, and the atmosphere becomes suffocating. Under the drone's watch, the two sides face off, and conflict is inevitable. Staring into hostile eyes, the teachers confront the real threat, and a single question drops the tension to freezing. Crisis is looming. In the dim streets, our friends find themselves being tracked by shadowy figures. The tension is palpable, and a clash is about to shatter the night. Unknowingly, our allies have wandered right into an ambush. Despite the attempts to keep things calm, the hostile crowd surrounding them makes the trap obvious. Then, the roar of a motorcycle shatters the silence, and the situation instantly escalates. The hostility is now laid bare. Facing these hateful gazes, the warning signs are blaring. Before they can even react, the ambush turns into a full-blown confrontation. Instead of sitting ducks, our guys fight back. The moment the thugs charge, they launch a swift counterattack, flipping the script. But the tide turns again all too quickly. Back to Gammon and his search. To track down the elusive martial arts school, they have to navigate the maze of Chinatown. But in the middle of their search, a misplaced document hints that something has gone horribly wrong. The worst-case scenario has unfolded. Our friends, previously on a mission, are now bound and captive. Facing an unknown puppeteer and an overwhelming enemy, even they are struggling to see a way out. Wounded but determined, they bring back critical intel. With no other leads, they have to gamble. Taking a deep breath, Gammon leads the way to the last place he ever wanted to revisit, the Tiger Fist Quan. Following the master's orders, our guy is told to unleash his inner tension, what they call Quan breaking. But the peace is short-lived. Suddenly, a massive fire erupts in the streets, turning the Chinatown district into a scene of chaos. Before anyone can process the chaos, some aggressive guys show up at their doorstep. The leader, a scarred tough guy, immediately starts trash-talking, trying to assert dominance over our guy. This so-called gatekeeper struts around, arrogantly forcing our guy into a challenge. With the tension rising, it's clear things are about to get violent, and the fight is practically inevitable. The onlookers whisper amongst themselves, clearly underestimating our guy. They have no idea that compared to the gatekeeper's empty talk, the real explosive conflict is only just beginning. Finally, without another word, fists start flying. With a fierce roar, an all-out assault begins. Despite the gatekeeper title, he's no match for this raw power and gets sent flying. The fight erupts instantly, with our boy trading heavy, bone-crunching blows in a face-to-face clash. The opponents are clearly coordinated, launching a relentless assault to overwhelm him with sheer numbers. Tension spikes as the opposing crew strikes a pose, arrogantly boasting about their tiger's fist. Our boy's eyes just sharpen. He's not impressed by their posturing. He's ready to tear that confidence apart. Since they're asking for it, our boy doesn't hold back. He unleashes a crushing strike, using explosive power that sends his arrogant attacker flying. It's a clean hit that serves as a harsh lesson in reality. Even amidst the chaos, our boy stays laser-focused. Despite the enemy's desperate attempt to grab and pin him down, his reflexes are too sharp, finding critical openings in the struggle to maintain his advantage. In a split second, the tide turns completely. Our boy moves with precision, landing a high kick that shatters their formation and disrupts their perimeter, creating the perfect opening for his counterattack. As the last opponent hits the floor hard, the remaining goons are clearly rattled. Our boy doesn't stop to gloat. He agilely maneuvers through the chaos, focused and pushing forward to press his advantage. Our guy doesn't hold back against his strong opponent, unleashing a fluid 5 consecutive blows that completely takes the guy down, showcasing his incredible combat talent. The scene shifts to Chinatown, where a guy in sunglasses mocks the chaos. He clearly doesn't think much of these high schoolers, spewing threats and ridicule. The thugs are ruthless, planning to use the students as scapegoats. Those watching are helpless and anxious, pushing the situation to a breaking point. We cut to the Tiger Fist dojo, where our guy is standing right in front of the mysterious master. The minions are fuming, seeing it as a blatant provocation. Surprisingly, the master rages at his own subordinates. They watched a high-level fight and learned absolutely nothing, so he berates them and kicks them out. With eyes like a hawk and the intuition of a veteran, the master instantly recognizes our guy's potential. This isn't just a spar, it's a fated martial arts showdown. Faced with aggressive foes, our boy doesn't flinch. Having chosen this path, he's ready to pay the price. With a sharp movement, he launches into the air, landing a precise, powerful kick that sends shockwaves through the fight. His explosive power leaves the opponent stunned, with some even comparing his moves to Bruce Lee. But it's not over. Our boy switches to grappling, using fluid, calculated moves to overpower them before they can even react. Every strike showcases the foundation of his training. Despite the injuries, our boy's resilience is off the charts. After a brief breather, the enemy has clearly lost their cool, preparing for one last desperate, reckless dive. The battle intensifies, and the enemy even resorts to using weapons for a sneak attack. But our boy isn't worried. He uses his agile movement to dodge the onslaught, countering with a heavy kick that sends them reeling. The chaos continues, escalating into intense close-quarters combat. Just when the enemy thinks they've gained the upper hand, Lee Jiwoo surprises everyone by untying her restraints, completely flipping the script on the battle. The chaos of the fight has settled, leaving behind a mess. But behind these closed doors, a much more unexpected turn of events is unfolding. The antagonist introduces their troubleshooter, Manager Park. He doesn't just humiliate their rivals, he bluntly extends an invitation to Sivan, trying to drag him into the criminal underworld. Manager Park has a keen eye. He immediately spots Sivan's exceptional fighting talent. To him, school is just a cage, and the only way to honor the talent is to become a true troubleshooter. Faced with such an open recruitment, Sivan falls into a tense silence. The promises Manager Park is making sound incredibly tempting, but is this really the best path for him? Just as things seem settled and they prepare to take Sivan away, a sudden shift occurs. The usually composed Sivan turns grave, as if some unseen force has blocked his path. And it's not over yet. A thunderous roar shocks everyone present. Who on earth would dare to interfere now? It's clear they aren't planning on letting Sivan leave so easily. The group finally confronts the old man, but he isn't angry. Instead, he looks like he's found a hidden gem, his face twisting with a morbid excitement that's genuinely chilling. Our boy remains eerily calm. He grabs the candlesticks to use as weapons, instantly locking into fighting stance. Seeing such reaction speed, the old man's grin only widens. He clearly sees our boy as his next big catch. The exchange is lightning fast. Our boy unleashes his tiger's fist, every strike carrying a bone-crushing force. The old man seems unfazed, but his eyes reveal a greedy hunger. He's absolutely captivated by our boy's raw talent. Even in the heat of battle, our boy doesn't waver. When tempted by the old man's recruitment, he firmly declares his goal. He's aiming for university with his brain, not his fists. This stubbornness only drives his opponent crazier. They trade blows midair, and on the floor, the ground shaking beneath the impact. The old man grows more puzzled with such elite fighting skills. Why is this kid so obsessed with a college acceptance letter? The tides turn. Faced with such stubbornness, the old man decides to use brute force to make our boy calm down. With a heavy blow, our boy is pinned to the ground. This battle of wills is entering its most brutal phase. Facing his master's relentless pressure, our boy is pushed to the limit. The master's question about why he clings to something he isn't good at sounds like a taunt, but judging by the fire in Gammon's eyes, giving up was never on the table. Gammon doesn't back down. Instead, he goes all in, launching a desperate strike at his master's weak points. The onlookers are terrified. This level of intensity is borderline lethal, and they're genuinely worried the master might kill him. In the heat of battle, something finally clicks for Gammon. The master isn't just being cruel. His wild behavior hides a deep devotion to his clumsy students. In this world, the fools who keep fighting for things they aren't good at are the ones who truly need a teacher. As memories flood back, Gammon realizes why his master told him to graduate. The master had long foreseen the dangerous entanglements with Chinatown and recognized Gammon's stubbornness. That final "you can do it" was the master's heavy-hearted blessing. Back in the present, Gammon puts everything he has into one final tiger strike. But the master's bottomless skill instantly crushes the attempt, pinning him down. This isn't just a spar, it's a teacher using a brutal method to carve a final lesson into his student. The school falls into a heavy silence under the cover of night, with a study guide sitting on the desk. But elsewhere, the atmosphere is far from peaceful, it's heavy with tension. A sudden scuffle breaks out. Caught off guard by a brutal assault, our boy is pushed to the limit. The opponent's heavy, unrelenting blows leave him with absolutely no room to breathe, let alone counter. Even as our boy fights to regain his footing, the pressure remains absolute. Against such a master, every strike he attempts seems anticipated. The disparity in raw power turns this into a one-sided struggle. After the intense clash, our boy finally collapses from exhaustion, but the master holds back. Instead, he offers a mocking piece of advice. If you want to make up for what you lack, go find a teacher. The words hit home, like a thunderclap. Meanwhile, the mood elsewhere takes a sharp turn for the worse. Conversations about being late are cut short as the scene shifts to a handgun being readied. With a distinct click, the atmosphere is instantly charged with danger.